Chapter 779, The Great Battle of Witch Creek City. Chapter 779, The Great Battle of Witch Creek City. Large cities naturally had the law and order of large cities, otherwise, they simply couldn't be called a city. There would be no difference between them and the barbaric wilds filled with bandits and strife. In Witch Creek City, all who took part in public fighting would suffer severe punishment. Anyone who ignored warnings would even be executed. The city guards are on their way. Then there will truly be a good show to watch, haha. And as everyone expected, they city guards quickly caught up. The captain of them was a man named Rong Lin. Before everyone arrived he shouted out, "Just who the hell do you two think you are? You dare to fight so openly in my Witch Creek City? How insolent." As the captain of the city guards, he was generally a solemn and dignified character. Usually, just a single shout from him was enough to frighten others and solve any problem. But this time, after he shouted out his warning, he was actually ignored. He stared with eyes wide open, as his vision tightly locked onto that skinny skeleton old man that was flying in the air. Then, his complexion completely paled. See Corpsemancer. He was petrified the spot. "Captain, those two fellows are far too arrogant. They actually dare to fight in the skies of my Witch Creek City. They are courting death." Beside Rong Lin, another city guard that had relied on family connections to join suddenly spoke up. He was a young martial artist that served as Rong Lin's deputy. "Captain, why don't you tell them to lay down their weapons so we can quickly capture them?" The young martial artist looked at Rong Lin in puzzlement. However, Rong Lin remained completely silent while his complexion was becoming increasingly ugly. Well, if the captain wasn't going to do it, then he would do it for him. The young martial artist felt that shouting out loud and grabbing everyone's attention would be a very glorious act. To those listening above, "We are." The young man only just started shouting when Rong Lin jumped like a cat and quickly covered the young man's mouth. "Do you want to die?" Rong Lin's entire forehead was covered with nervous sweat. In every divine kingdom, there were only several dozen Destiny Decree characters and most of them were in long-term seclusion. They simply lived like hermits for the majority of their life. If they were a central ruling figure of a mortal nation, then Rong Lin could only be considered a middle-class city guard official. The disparity in status could be imagined. And most fearful of all was that Corpsemancer was an infamous fellow known for his capricious cruelty. Anyone that fell into his hands would suffer a fate worse than death. He would rather face a top 200 ranked Destiny Decree character than have to cross paths with Corpsemancer. This was because Corpsemancer could randomly kill someone without even batting an eye. "Captain?" the young man asked, somewhat unhappy. "Everyone obey my command. Evacuate the crowd and isolate the scene. Without my orders, no one can speak a single word of nonsense and absolutely no one can interfere. All offenders will be brutally punished." As Rong Lin spoke to hear, he suddenly saw that the skeletal man floating in the air shot a glance at him. The skeletal man smiled, revealing a blood-red tongue and bone-white teeth. It was just a single look, but Rong Lin was filled with fear and terror. It was like an icy bone lance had been thrust into his heart. Rong Lin trembled with dread. He waved his hand and said, "Everyone, retreat 10 miles out." "What? F***CK. I told you to retreat, so retreat. That fellow above us is a Destiny Decree master." Rong Lin originally didn't want to reveal the status of Corpsemancer, but as he saw that the young martial artist wasn't convinced, and even had an eager look to butt his way in, he had no choice but to announce a bit of Corpsemancer's information. Did a Destiny Decree. The young martial artist was not an idiot. In fact, upon hearing the name of the famous Destiny Decree, everyone was shaken to their cause. They were all well aware just what that implied. Is there a mistake? If that skeletal old man is a Destiny Decree master, then what about his opponent? He's obviously just a 20-some-year-old youth, and his cultivation is, at the late revolving core realm. Yes, he is only at the late revolving core realm and his opponent is Corpsemancer. That young man is insane. Rong Lin's eyes blazed as he looked at Lin Ming. As captain of the city guard, he naturally had an understanding toward all the top-level characters of the 4 divine kingdoms. However, he couldn't recall the slightest bit of information about Lin Ming. It wasn't just the city guard, but all observing martial artists discovered that the difference in cultivation of the two flying in the air was simply too great. Is this a life or death battle, or a senior advising a junior? He's definitely directing him. Don't make too much of a fuss, that old man might be that youth's master. He will certainly suppress his strength to a degree. Whoosh, whoosh. Two shadows flew to a distant point 10 miles away from the battlefield. These two people were Grandma White and Xiao Xiao. Lin Lanjian isn't someone from my 9-furnace divine kingdom, nor is he someone from the other 3 divine kingdoms. It's probable that he hasn't heard the fame of the destiny decree yet, thus he rashly acted. Young miss, this is our only chance. If we continue watching the battle from here, then it's the same as waiting to die. Grandma White anxiously said. If Lin Ming really were a junior of the 4 divine kingdoms, then it would be impossible that someone with a talent as monstrous and unprecedented as his could remain obscure. Thus, she only thought that Lin Ming came from some faraway region and didn't know just how fierce the ranked masters of the destiny decree were. Let alone Lin Ming, even that senior that knew Xiao Xiao's father couldn't be ranked on the destiny decree. Grandma White, there is a mark planted on my body, escape is no longer possible. I have already accepted my fate. I would rather stay here and watch young hero Lin's battle. Perhaps, there is even a small glimmer of hope that young hero Lin can create an opening for us. At that time we'll attack together, and even if we can't win, we can still die an honorable death. All right. Grandma White shook her head, no longer attempting to convince Xiao Xiao. At this time, more and more martial artists began filling the skies. All of them felt that something was off about this situation. How come that the usually blustering and swaggering city guards didn't take this chance to bring these lawbreakers down? Meanwhile, up in the skies, Lin Ming and Corpsemancer had already faced each other for over 20 breaths of time. Lin Ming was the first to make a move. Bang! Before his long spear even shot out, double force fields were already erupting outward. The Azura force field combined with the Death God force field as the dual force fields were released together. A tide of power rushed out in all directions, setting of a horrifying storm of energy. The Death God force field, annihilating all life vitality. The Azura force field, universal suppression of a martial artist's strength and soul. The air trembled. Most of those martial artists floating in the air and watching the scene weren't masters. They hadn't yet been able to figure out just how Lin Ming's strength contrasted with Corpsemancer, but now as Lin Ming's force field enveloped the entire battlefield, all of them became nothing more than leaves in a storm, scattering or collapsing in all direction. The slightly weaker martial artists, even if they were an entire mile away from Lin Ming, still vomited out a mouthful of blood as they were severely injured. What is that? All of the martial artists were dumbfounded. Was this the power released by that youth? What kind of killing intent is this? Xiao Xiao forcefully gulped. Lin Ming had never used this power when he fought the elders of the Heavencraft family. It was clear now that he didn't think it was needed at the time. This is a force field ability, moreover he has dual force field. Grandma White recognized just what sort of skill Lin Ming had used. Force field abilities were exceedingly rare. Even a supremely talented junior of the 4 divine kingdoms wouldn't necessarily have one. It was a highly revered and respected ability. This was not because a force field was freakishly strong, but because a force field could coexist alongside martial skills. It could invisibly increase a martial artist's strength or have a number of other effects without affecting the martial artist's fighting ability at all. Hey, boy, I like you more and more. Once I turn you into a puppet, I can keep your force fields. This is far too perfect. Force fields are the ability that puppet masters love the most. Corpsemancer sinisterly smiled and his ghostly eyes were gleaming. A powerful puppet master could restore most of the special abilities a martial artist had before death. In fact, a puppet's power could even be raised through the passage of time with the application of a number of arcane skills. You really love dreaming. Lin Ming barked out a short laugh and flourished his spear. He poured his battle spirit into it and thrust out. The inherent power of Thunderfire broke through the shackles of space, and with a keening cry, a turbulent wave of energy began to rise up from all around. Bang! 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 Space nearly collapsed. Lin Ming's spear instantly passed a 1,000 feet forward, thrusting straight between Corpsemancer's eyebrows. Corpsemancer creepily laughed as his withered claws suddenly grasped forward. A black ghost claw appeared out of thin air and shot out towards Lin Ming. As the claw shot forward, a cold wind swirled up around it, as if countless grieving ghosts formed the black ghost claw that issued mournful wails. Catcher! The spear and sharp claw collided together. The ghost claw disintegrated, but Lin Ming's spear light also melted away like white snow under the scorching sun. True essence shockwaves rolled up in massive waves. All of the surrounding martial artists quickly retreated as their complexions immediately changed. It had become crystal clear to everyone here that these two evil stars were simply ancient vicious beasts in human form. If they were caught up in the ensuing storm of energy, then there wouldn't be anything left of them, not even their ashes. As for Xiao Xiao and Grandma White, they weren't affected because they were very far away to begin with. But they could still feel that horrifying energy that rampaged about, even from such a distance. This should only be a testing move. I have no idea how much strength Lin Lanjian used, but if that is the majority of his strength, then there isn't even a slim chance that he'll win. Corpsemancer hasn't even brought out his puppets yet. Grandma White's face was filled with worry. When Lin Ming had unleashed his dual force fields, a faint hope lit up in her heart. She had been slightly optimistic that Lin Ming might be able to create a miracle or even last a period of time against Corpsemancer. In such a massive fight, there would definitely be other masters arriving if it lasted long enough. At that time, there might be a chance for a favorable turn of events. How interesting. So interesting. Corpsemancer's skin-stitched face became more and more excited. He swiped his special ring and a massive demon puppet rushed out. There were two great wings on its back and its entire body was wreathed in thick, dark blue muscles that were as solid as rock. Giant demon? Lin Ming's mind went cold. This was actually a giant demon puppet. Just where had Corpsemancer managed to obtain the corpse of a giant demon? That is the puppet technique and also a giant demon puppet. That man must be. Some of the surrounding martial artists recognized the giant demon puppet. Although they didn't recognize Corpsemancer, they did manage to recognize that puppet. In truth, top masters that wielded puppets were nearly extinct. Thinking of all of them, there was only a single person that was this famous for their puppet technique. And then combining that with this sinister and ominous old man's cultivation, the truth of his identity finally revealed itself. The destiny decree ranked 330, Corpsemancer. Corpsemancer? Is that really him? Heavens! No wonder the city guards don't dare to do anything. That old man is actually Corpsemancer. Then just who is that youth? Did that young man come out of nowhere? At this time, no one said anymore that the fight unfolding in the air was a senior directing a junior. Corpsemancer was absolutely not the type to do so, and Lin Ming's cultivation method was completely different from his. This was a true life or death battle. For a late revolving core powerhouse to challenge the destiny decree ranked 330, Corpsemancer, in a life or death battle. This was madness. Chapter 780, Stepping onto the highest stage. Chapter 780, Stepping onto the highest stage. This is a giant demon puppet that I carefully crafted myself. I call it, the gargoyle. Let me take a good look at just how many of my puppets you can force me to use. Giant demon puppet? So it seemed that the Sky Spill continent also had a giant demon race. Just where had this giant demon corpse come from? The Sky Spill continent and the Holy Demon continent were both isolated from each other. The last time that they had contact with each other was likely when the Netherworld Great Emperor traveled to the Sky Spill continent through the Demon Emperor's transmission array and then later on founded the Silent Demon Emperor city. If it was said that there were giant demon skeletons from thousands of years ago, then Lin Ming wouldn't be surprised. But puppet techniques required the use of fresh corpses in order to function properly. This meant that one of the 4 divine kingdoms had members of the giant demon race within them. Where is your giant demon corpse from? Lin Ming directly asked. Hihi, of course it comes from the Azura divine kingdom. Is that so strange? This old man has no interest in bantering with the likes of you. Now die. Corpsemancer gave a loud shout and the giant demon puppet extracted a 15-foot axe before cutting it down towards Lin Ming. As this axe cut out, roiling black clouds followed behind it. This was obviously the demon essence that the giant demon race used. Although it was similar to true essence, they had essential differences between them. An astounding puppet master could reproduce all the abilities that the deceased had before their death. Demon essence was no exception. The Azura Divine Kingdom actually has the giant demon race. That is beyond my expectations. Lin Ming shook his long spear, filling it with the concept of fire as he smashed it against the giant demon's axe. But at this time, there was a crackling sound as a 2-foot section of the axe broke off. A thick chain pulled out from the shaft, causing the entire weapon to turn into something like a bowler. With special devices and traps everywhere, it was nearly impossible to guard against. This was one of the special characteristics of puppets. Ka. Lin Ming's red long spear was caught in the chain. At the same time, the axe head was pulled by the chain, smashing straight towards Lin Ming's head. At such a close distance, for such a change to happen in the axe was truly a sinister combat technique. Moreover, since Lin Ming's spear was twisted into that chain, he was unable to dodge it. Unless he abandoned his spear and retreated, his only option would be to directly block that axe. But to a martial artist, their weapon was their life. To abandon their weapon in battle was equal to disillusioning their own heart of martial arts. Sir Lin. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but cry out in alarm as she watched the battle from a distance. All of the surrounding martial artists also watched with wide eyes, waiting to see just how this junior would fight against such a top genius. But at this moment, Lin Ming appeared nothing but serene. He shook his long spear in his hands. The large success bronze battle spirit erupted. Catcher. With a shattering sound, that chain as thick as an arm was directly broken apart by Lin Ming. Soon after, Lin Ming's spear thrust forwards, piercing through that half-foot thick axe with an unstoppable and sharp spear light that stabbed towards Corpsemancer's head. Millimeter. Corpsemancer was bewildered. This was a battle spirit. With his sight and experience, he naturally recognized that this was a battle spirit. Lin Ming only had a mere late revolving core cultivation, and yet his battle spirit was so keen. How could he not be shocked? Bang! Lin Ming's spear stabbed into a white bone shield. At that moment, in front of Corpsemancer, another puppet appeared. This puppet looked like a giant turtle. What Lin Ming had pierced through was its shell. As the spear punctured the shell, although the shell didn't break, cracks still appeared, spreading out like a spider web. All of the martial artists present could clearly see what happened. A spear had broken apart the axe and simultaneously broke through the first level of armor of another puppet. This striking power was freakishly abnormal. So you comprehended a large success battle spirit. It seems I truly underestimated you. No wonder you would dare to fight me. Corpsemancer's ghostly green eyes flashed with a blazing light. He licked his lips and coldly said, I have now decided to sincerely kill you. Lin Ming's talent far surpassed Corpsemancer's estimations. To have such an enemy, and for him to be so young, Corpsemancer naturally couldn't allow him to live. Otherwise, his future troubles would be endless. Complete body. With a loud shout, Corpsemancer's skinny skeletal body began emitting loud crackling sounds. The white cloth that bound his body like a mummy ripped apart and a pair of blood-red wings unfurled. After the wings stretched out, they were more than 10 feet long. They appeared like the wings of a giant bat. At the same time, scales began to appear all over Corpsemancer's face. His arms lengthened and his claws became even larger, a chillingly cold light shining from them. After the initial probing strike, Corpsemancer was now ready to go all out. Lin Ming was solemn. After reaching this boundary, no other junior was his opponent. If he wanted to fight, he could only challenge those old monsters that had been stranded in the life-destruction realm for hundreds of years. In front of these existences, Lin Ming was still far too young. There were several small boundaries within the life-destruction realm. From the first stage to the 7th stage of life-destruction, the difference was approximate to the difference between the Hutian realm and the revolving core realm. For the late revolving core Lin Ming to challenge a destiny decree master, That meant that he had now transcended the struggles of juniors and transitioned into fighting powerhouses of the older generation. At this moment, Lin Ming had truly stepped onto the highest stage of the Sky Spill continent. Corpsemancer extracted a massive scythe from his spatial ring. The scythe blade glowed with a cold light and its entire body was deep black. It looked like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. As the scythe appeared, a limitless amount of resentment and malice filled the air, as if countless ghosts were weeping and screaming around the scythe. What is this sound? It pains the ears. It's drilling into my brain. The scythe is calling to me. All of the surrounding martial artists only felt as if countless demonic spirits were screaming into their ears. This sound seemed to have enormous penetrative power. Even if they covered their ears, the sound still passed through, drilling directly into their spiritual sea. As the martial artists with weaker cultivations heard this sound, they felt as if their heads were about to crack open and all of the blood drained out from their faces. Hurry up and retreat. Some martial artists shook their hands as if they had awakened from a nightmare and began calling out warnings. However, many people were unable to withdraw under the effects of this sonic attack. They lost consciousness and fell down from the skies. This is the evil hate scythe that Corpsemancer forged from countless suffering souls and lives. Every strike contains a near-endless amount of grudge and resentment. It can destroy a martial artist's will. If just hearing the sound of it is so terrifying, then what will happen if it cuts down on you? Lin Ming bore the attack. As he was enveloped in the energy field of resentment from the evil hate scythe, his face remained expressionless. He could clearly hear this resentment colliding with his own dual force fields. This Corpsemancer, it seems he really transformed his own body into a puppet. A high-level puppet master's greatest strength lay in their own bodies. This was because their bodies made the best puppets. Once their skeletons and meridians were modified beyond all recognition, their defensive power would far surpass a general martial artist's. To be invulnerable themselves and also be able to coordinate 3 or 4 puppets together, a powerful martial artist would have an extreme headache if they bumped into a formidable puppet master. As Corpsemancer brought out his complete body, his 2 eyes had already transformed from a ghostly green to a deep blood red. He grabbed the long scythe in both hands and unfolded his wings. Then, he silently slid forwards like ghosts and demons. His speed was shocking. All of the observing martial artists tarried. All they saw was a flash as Corpsemancer appeared in front of Lin Ming, his black scythe rapidly cutting down. This sort of speed was in no way inferior to Lin Ming's golden rock shattering the void. Too fast. Lin Ming was already horrified. This wasn't teleportation, but it was a speed that made it seem as if there were no difference. Nether strike. The black scythe seemed to emerge from space. It cut through space, carrying with it endless resentment and howls from mourning ghosts as it slashed towards Lin Ming. This attack hadn't even arrived and yet its aura was so terrifying. Lin Ming waved his spear. Facing this all-out Corpsemancer, Lin Ming naturally didn't dare to hold back. Law of annihilation, chain of stars. A spear ran up to meet the enemy. The concept of fire and the concept of space were poured into the spear, causing all of the heaven and earth origin energy in a 10-mile radius to restlessly move. The fire energy and the power of space fused together, condensed into tiny little fragments that rapidly spun around like a chain of stars, shrouding down towards Corpsemancer. Ca. The tiny fragments of fire and space struck with the resentment of the black scythe, creating a harsh keening noise to split the air. Lin Ming's spear crossed with the black scythe. A terrifying wave of true essence exploded, causing the atmosphere to vibrate. They were nearly evenly matched. During the battle, Corpsemancer revealed a diabolical grin. Not only did he have his own attack but he also had puppet. As Corpsemancer struck out with the Nether Strike attack, the giant demon puppet and the great turtle puppet also attacked. The giant demon puppet turned the axe shaft in his hands, turning it into a makeshift long spear as he thrust out at Lin Ming's back. At the same time, the great turtle puppet opened its vast maw and spat out a beam of black energy. These 2 attacks joined together. Their combined power just was slightly less than Corpsemancer's own Nether Strike. This was an attack from the front and back. Sir Lin, be careful. Shai Aishao shouted out. Her life was now linked together with Lin Ming's. How could she not be tense? If Lin Ming was defeated, she would suffer a fate worse than death. At this critical moment, Lin Ming took a sudden step forwards. Space twisted underneath his feet. Although it looked as if he had only taken a casual step forwards, he had actually crossed a mile, causing both of the puppet's attacks to miss. Lin Ming stood in the skies. A mile away from Corpsemancer, he pointed his spear point right at him. I'm also confident in my speed. Although my long-distance speed may not reach the degree of your twin black wings. Bang! Dozens of miles away, the black beam of energy released by the great turtle puppet smashed into a mountainside, causing an entire rock shelf to collapse. Watching Lin Ming and Corpsemancer fighting in the air, everyone present felt as if they had lost their breath. This was the showdown of Destiny Decree Masters. Although the Skyspill continent had over 100 divine sea powerhouses, all of these existences were secretive individuals that almost never appeared. Most of them had hidden themselves in seclusion for countless years. Without the divine sea, the Destiny Decree was king. The Destiny Decree was equivalent to the highest stage of the Skyspill continent. Space laws. What a pleasant surprise. Corpsemancer sinisterly laughed. As Lin Ming had said, that extreme speed of Corpsemancer's came from the pair of wings on his back. In terms of long-distance travel, he was faster than Lin Ming. But, in short distances, he was actually slower than Lin Ming. Lin Ming's golden rock shattering the void was able to twist space, with a single step, approaching teleportation. This was the strength of laws. As for those black wings behind Corpsemancer, they were merely heaven-step flight treasures. You are indeed an unrivaled talent. Only killing someone like you can bring me sweet pleasure. Jeja. Chapter 781, The Demon Emperor's Armor. Chapter 781, The Demon Emperor's Armor. When Corpsemancer had finished speaking, he traced his spatial ring, and another puppet came flying out. It was a humanoid puppet that was wearing a set of armor made entirely of bone. Its body burned with dark green corpse fire. Simply looking at the flickering flames caused one to feel a chill in their soul. That's likely the bat puppet recorded on the Destiny Decree. Those ghostly green flames, you shouldn't be wrong. That's a puppet refined from the corpse of another Destiny Decree master. Martial artists had a formidable level of soul force, and thus had near photographic memory. Nearly everyone present had memorized all of the information on the 360 masters of the Destiny Decree. Most of the famous abilities used by these masters were recorded on the Destiny Decree. And the puppet that Corpsemancer had brought out was his strongest puppet yet, the bat. The bat puppet was refined from a Destiny Decree master that Corpsemancer had killed in order to be listed on the Destiny Decree himself. At the time, Corpsemancer's strongest puppet had been cut down by that master, and completely destroyed. Thus, after Corpsemancer had killed the Destiny Decree master, he used his corpse as the foundation for an even stronger, more powerful puppet. And that was the bat puppet in front of them. By relying on this puppet, he'd managed to become the 330th ranked character of the Destiny Decree. Not only was he using the bat puppet, but he simultaneously used the evil hate scythe. This proved that Corpsemancer had been forced to bring out all of his combat strength. Corpsemancer had become infamous for over 300 years ago. He was now over 500 years old. As for Lin Ming, he was only in his early 20s. They were people from completely different eras. Being able to force Corpsemancer to this step, regardless of whether he wins or loses, just that is enough to be proud of. Rong Lin thought out loud. He didn't know who this youth flying in the air was, but without a doubt, if he managed to live through this, he'd become an extraordinary figure that shook the entire Skyspill continent. Who dash? High up in the sky, strong heavenly winds were surging. The bat puppet then extended its pair of black wings. In only a moment, it arrived in front of Lin Ming. It stretched out its claws, which shimmered with ghostly blue flames, and grasped at Lin Ming's neck. Lin Ming gripped his spear, his posture becoming as immovable and steadfast as an ancient mountain. The power of thunder and fire poured into the red spear at the same time. The spear issued an excited keening cry as it fiercely shook. Penetrating rainbow. The power of thunder and fire fused together. A brilliant beam of blazing light cut through the vast blue skies like a sharp sword, and was as bright as a blazing sun as it tore through the void. Lin Ming's spear solidly crashed into the bat puppet's claws. Clang! A metallic ringing echoed out in the air. The bat puppet's defensive power was as strong as if it were a heaven-step treasure. A generic martial artist could forget about ever breaking through its defenses. However, Lin Ming's attack wasn't normal. It contained a large success bronze-level battle spirit. Catcher! The bat puppet's claws were abruptly torn off from Lin Ming's strike. Accept your fate, boy. Corpsemancer shimmered into existence like a ghost directly behind Lin Ming. His eyes gleamed with manic light as he raised his black scythe, then cut towards Lin Ming's open back. Endless resentment poured outwards, as if 10,000 grieving ghosts were crying in unison. This resentment condensed into substantialized energy and shot into Lin Ming's spiritual sea. Peng! 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 Under the dual support of the samsara martial intent and his battle spirit, Lin Ming's spiritual sea was simply an unassailable iron wall. As the power of resentment entered his spiritual sea, it was immediately burnt to ash and smoke. Burning star flame. The heretical god seed trembled. The highly compressed burning star flame then erupted from the heretical god seed. This was the power of a heaven-step flame essence, which a sizzling kai. All of the spirits attached to Corpsemancer's scythe were burnt to nothingness. Law of annihilation, chain of stars. Lin Ming thrust his spear outwards. All of the heaven and earth origin energy in a radius of 10 miles was stirred up by him, then concentrated into countless fragments of light that sparkled like the endless number of stars in the sky, before it all fell downwards. From far away, it looked like a sparkling galaxy had crashed into the earth. Such an apocalyptic scene left everyone shocked. Bang! With an explosion, Lin Ming, Corpsemancer, and the bat puppet were all thrown backwards. A trace of blood flowed out the edge of Lin Ming's mouth. However, Corpsemancer's shoulder had been pierced through by the spear light. When the martial artists of Witch Creek City saw this fight from far away, all of them were shocked speechless. Corpsemancer's body had gone through the transformative process of puppet techniques. In exchange for a body that couldn't be called human nor ghost, he'd received a body with durability equal to a treasure. Yet he'd still been wounded by Lin Ming. This was an incalculably strong strike. Bang bang bang! An incomparably brutal melee ensued as Lin Ming collided with Corpsemancer again and again. Their movements were so fast that any martial artist below the life-destruction realm was entirely unable to even make out their movements. Lin Ming's body was tough from the start, and he excelled at frontal combat. However, Corpsemancer and his bat puppet were the same. They were in sharp opposition. Bury the heavens. Lin Ming revolved the energy of his 8 inner hidden gates to the limit. He thrust his spear out, and several massive cracks appeared in space. The power of space surged out from these cracks, twisting into a savage spatial storm. The burning star flame ignited atop the red spear, becoming even more vivid and fierce as it fused with the spatial storm. This was the fusion of fire and space. This spear contained Lin Ming's complete understanding of both the concepts of space and of fire. At the same time, he also poured his large success bronze battle spirit within it. On the other side, Corpsemancer stepped forward and fused with his bat puppet. Then, with the sound of a wailing ghost, the bat puppet's body suddenly rapidly inflated, with a number of bones stabbing out from within its body. Ribs, leg bones, arm bones, all sorts of long bones had been turned into white bony lances. At the same time, ghostly green flames burned atop every bony lance. In the briefest of moments, the bat puppet had become extremely hideous. Take my strongest attack. 18,000 death. In the blink of an eye, all of those bony lances, as well as the black scythe, shot towards Lin Ming. 18,000 was not some random number, there really were that many attacks. The attacks covered the sky, blotting out the sun, and blocking all avenues of escape. From afar, it looked like both Lin Ming and Corpsemancer had been trapped in a sea of bones. Xiao Xiao's heart tightened. Kai, 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 Kai. Mournful wails reverberated through both the clouds and earth as if the entire world was crying together. Lin Ming revolved the heretical god force to the limit, his eyes blazing like two twin infernos. The flame essence atop his spear seemed ready to explode at any given moment. Break. With Bury the Heavens, several thousand bone lances were crushed to pieces. However, over 10,000 remained, which shot towards Lin Ming the same as before. Lin Ming waved his spear as if it were a dancing red flood dragon. Shattered bone lances were everywhere, and bone dust endlessly rained down from the skies. A strong heavenly wind wildly surged through the skies. Lin Ming's black hair flapped in the wind. He tirelessly waved his spear, as if he didn't know what exhaustion was. He was like a demon god incarnate. Bury the Heavens. Lin Ming ignored everything, and consecutively used Bury the Heavens twice. A dazzling black light was suddenly ejected from the sea of bones, directly sent flying into the horizon. Soon afterwards, countless brilliantly dazzling golden lights shot out from every all over the sea of bones. A sun seemed to rise within the sea of bones, emitting golden light as sharp as a sword that could cut through everything. The countless bones in the sky began to disintegrate like collapsing sand sculptures. An immeasurable amount of bone dust flew everywhere. It covered the skies, becoming a white fog that filled the heavens and earth. Go die. Lin Ming forcefully cut a path through the sea of bones, thrusting his spear at Corpsemancer. At this time, Corpsemancer had already separated from the bat puppet, and they were floating several dozen feet away from each other. Corpsemancer's blood-red eyes had turned vacant. At some unknown point, the black evil hate scythe had returned to his hands. Black corpse flames ignited into a blazing inferno atop the scythe's edge. Nether strike, locking yin and yang. With a slight movement of his lips, Corpsemancer spoke these words. Then, all of the resentment within the black scythe suddenly fused into a single mass, which locked the surrounding space. Lin Ming's spear had already been thrust out. However, Corpsemancer had no intention of dodging this strike. Instead, he used the evil hate scythe to cut towards Lin Ming's waist. Lin Ming only felt the power of resentment wrap around his body. He found himself unable to dodge. If he were to bring out the burning star flame, then he could reduce the power of resentment to nothing in just a few breaths of time. But by then, Corpsemancer's attack would have already struck him. Their attacks were completely designed such that they would perish together. Lin Ming had absolute confidence in his own defensive ability, but Corpsemancer did too. Whose defensive power was superior? This thought flashed through Lin Ming's mind, but he instantly rejected it. In this situation, with his strongest attack that also had his large success battle spirit poured into it, no matter how strong the Corpsemancer's strength was, it would still pierce through his skill. Lin Ming didn't believe that Corpsemancer didn't value his own life above all else. Bury the Heavens. Facing this inescapable blow, he simply didn't think of avoiding it. Instead, he poured all of his true essence into the red spear, issuing out his final, most brilliant strike. The power of fire and the power of space had perfectly fused together. The might of this spear was earth-shaking. However, Lin Ming didn't stab towards Corpsemancer. Instead, he threw his spear towards the bat puppet. Go! The red spear flew out from his hands, crossing the skies like a blazing rainbow. With a light-piercing sound, the bat puppet's head was pierced by the spear light. Its skull was cracked apart, and brain fluid shot out. At the same time, Corpsemancer's scythe cut into Lin Ming's waist. Lin Ming's bodily protective true essence was instantly melted away, and corpse fire burnt through Lin Ming's clothes. The scythe seemed as if it would split him apart. However, at that moment, the scythe's blade was actually blocked by something. As Lin Ming's robes burned away, it revealed a jet-black armor. This was the Demon Emperor's armor that Lin Ming had taken out from the cosmic melting furnace. The Demon Emperor's armor could weaken the majority of an attack, but it wasn't an absolute defense. Some of the leftover yin energy rampaged through Lin Ming's body, recklessly tearing through his meridians. Lin Ming's complexion paled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Corpsemancer's final attack had severely wounded him. If it weren't for the Demon Emperor's armor, Lin Ming might have died here. It was hard to say whether or not his body's physical defense could withstand Corpsemancer's strike. It's over. What happened? Everyone looked on, dumbfounded, at Corpsemancer's scythe that was embedded in Lin Ming's waist. As for Lin Ming's spear, it was stuck through the bat puppet's head. Corpsemancer stood stock still in front of Lin Ming, completely uninjured. Did the bat puppet block that youth's final attack for its master? No, wait, why do I feel that the youth intentionally attacked the bat puppet? Not unless that youth is an idiot. In a fight against a puppet master, you definitely have to attack the main body. Only an idiot would attack the puppet. The final exchange of moves had happened too fast. Almost no one had been able to clearly see what happened. Chapter 782, Killing Corpsemancer. Chapter 782, Killing Corpsemancer. Could that youth have been hacked to death by Corpsemancer? What an idiot. He actually attacked Corpsemancer's puppet at the last moment. Was his brain fried or something? A Xiantian martial artist asked out loud with a mocking smirk. Shut up. An old man near him coldly humphed. Do you think that everyone is as stupid as you are? That youth is one of Skyspill Continent's favored sons of heaven. It's impossible that he wouldn't know how to battle a puppet master. The Xiantian martial artist looked a bit ugly as he was reprimanded. Still, he began mumbling to himself, obviously not convinced. Something's wrong. Corpsemancer wasn't injured, but why is he standing still there? Could that youth have attacked Corpsemancer somehow and we didn't notice? Just who won? What's happening here? 10 miles away, Xiao Xiao gripped her chest as her heart tightened in pain. Lin Ming and Corpsemancer were both immobile. This made her incomparably nervous. To her, Lin Ming's victory or defeat was the difference between heaven and hell. Grandma. Don't worry, that Lin Lanjian is all right. But that Corpsemancer. Lin Lanjian obviously could have attacked Corpsemancer at the last moment, but he chose to attack the bat puppet instead. I really don't understand what is going on here. As the black-clothed old woman spoke halfway, a scene that left all martial artists confounded occurred. That Corpsemancer who was in front of Lin Ming suddenly fell from the sky, smashing into the ground. Everyone was shocked. Just what was going on? Lin Ming's face was pallid as he reached out a hand and released a wisp of his battle spirit. The red long spear shot out and returned to Lin Ming's hand. Then, everyone found that above Lin Ming's spearpoint, there was actually some fat meaty thing stuck atop it. And that thing was still convulsing and wriggling around. This was actually a human brain. As Lin Ming saw this white and glistening human brain, he let out a long breath. It was over. A puppet master could transform any part of their body, but there was one place that they couldn't change. That was their spiritual sea. The spiritual sea depended on the brain to exist. Corpsemancer's body had already been altered beyond all recognition. Now, his only true existence was his brain. ZZZ. The brain mass on Lin Ming's spearpoint was actually fiercely struggling. Moreover, it was sending out grating screams, vacillating up and down as if it were a giant fat white worm. Lin Ming could feel words flowing into his spiritual sea. Don't kill me. I will give you puppet techniques. I can tell you all the secrets of the Azura Divine Kingdom. With your talent and my knowledge, you can grasp the entire Skyspill continent in your hands and rule the world. It's impossible for you to find out what I know, even if I don't tell you of my own volition. Don't think of using the soul-searching technique on me. I can self-destruct my spiritual sea. I don't need you to self-destruct. In fact, I'll help annihilate you. Lin Ming sneered, having no intention of bantering with this thing. He had absolutely no desire to learn anything like this strange puppet technique that turned one into something that didn't seem like a human or ghost. No. Puff. Vibrating true essence sprang forth from Lin Ming's fingertips and ran up the red spear like a viper. No. Corpsemancer sent out a final pitiful scream. With a popping sound, the brain burst apart into a thick white liquid like rice porridge. Corpsemancer had died. As Grandma White, Rong Lin, and other life destruction masters saw this, they suddenly realized what had happened. Before that final strike occurred, Corpsemancer had shifted his brain into the skull of the bat puppet. Then, he had controlled his main body to perish together with Lin Ming. This was a completely ruthless and insidious move. Once Lin Ming fell for it, he would still be severely wounded even if he didn't die. He absolutely wouldn't be able to fight against the bat puppet Corpsemancer. But Lin Ming had clearly realized what sort of change had occurred in those fleeting last moments. He had thus given up his attack on Corpsemancer's main body and switched his target to the bat puppet. If these were peaceful times and one carefully investigated with their perception, then it wouldn't be difficult to find out just where Corpsemancer's brain had gone. But during that fierce battle just now, in that critical moment, Lin Ming had been able to discover this point. Now that was truly horrifying. Slowly, all of the martial artists began to understand what had happened. Even those that were confused had the series of events explained to them. For a time, a pall of silence fell over the entire city. Just who was this youth who had managed to exterminate Corpsemancer? Some people noticed that Lin Ming was wearing a jet black armor on his body. There was just a circular gap on the chest area, as if it were missing its heartguard mirror. It was because of this armor that Lin Ming hadn't been cut in half by the evil hate scythe. What sort of armor was this that it could block Corpsemancer's final strike? Who? Lin Ming took out a new set of clothes from his spatial ring and tossed it on, immediately covering the Demon Emperor's armor. When Lin Ming had first worn the Demon Emperor's armor, he placed some minor camouflage on it because he didn't want to attract others' attention. But that powerful attack of Corpsemancer just now had completely ruined his careful concealment. For a short period of time, this armor should attract some people's attention. But Lin Ming didn't worry too much. Tens of thousands of years had already passed. It was impossible for others to recognize the Demon Emperor's armor. Lin Ming received the broken bat puppet and the other puppets and then dropped down from the skies. As he landed on the ground, all of the surrounding martial artists quickly scattered away from him in shock. Facing such an evil star, no one dared to remain near him, much less approach him. Even the city guard couldn't dream of controlling him. If anyone died here because of him, then they could only blame their bad luck. Lin Ming ignored the surrounding martial artists and gathered up Corpsemancer's corpse and spatial ring. Then, he sent a sound-transmitting talisman to Xiao Xiao and flew towards her. At this time he needed to recuperate from his wounds. In that battle just now he had used every ability he had. Not only did he consume a massive amount of energy, but he was also seriously wounded. He won. Sir Lin actually won. As Xiao Xiao saw Lin Ming fly towards her, her lips faintly shivered. Even she didn't dare to believe that this was real and not a dream. A Destiny Decree Master had actually been killed by Lin Ming. And Lin Ming was only at the late Revolving Core realm. Xiao Xiao never imagined that the young man she met several days ago could actually kill a Destiny Decree Master. Every character ranked on the Destiny Decree was an earth-shaking, all-powerful existence. Even if Heavencraft Pavilion called upon their complete resources, they would still find it hard to move such a character to action. He really won. Young miss, your father's spirit must be protecting us to have us encounter such an amazing person. Besides Xiao Xiao, Grandma White began to cry. In these past days, Xiao Xiao had faced an infinite amount of pressure, but so had Grandma White. She had looked after Xiao Xiao as she grew up, and after receiving the grace of her father, she completely regarded Xiao Xiao as her own granddaughter. When Lin Ming flew in front of Xiao Xiao, her entire face was wet with tears. For a time she was overwhelmed and unable to speak a single word. Lin. Sir Lin, I sincerely thank you. I must heal first. Lin Ming had no intention of speaking too much and flew directly to Heavencraft Pavilion. The current environment was not safe and he needed to ensure that he was at his peak condition. Otherwise, if he encountered a more powerful enemy, he wouldn't even be able to escape. As the martial artists of Witch Creek City saw Lin Ming fly towards Heavencraft Pavilion with Xiao Xiao and Grandma White in tow, all of them were flabbergasted. So it's someone invited by Heavencraft Pavilion. Just who is he? It's impossible for him to be in his 20s. He should be several hundred years old but just looks young. A young martial artist muttered out loud. He was a genius of Witch Creek City's younger generation, but compared to Lin Ming he was nothing at all. He simply couldn't accept that they were of similar age. Don't be stupid, he isn't even at the life destruction realm. Only when a martial artist reaches the life destruction realm can they burn some of their cultivation to renew their youth. And this is only appearances, it doesn't lengthen their lifespan. Normally only female martial artists that value their appearance too much would do such things. Men normally wouldn't. After all, rejuvenating your appearance requires you to burn not a small amount of your cultivation. This is incredible news. He's so young and yet he killed a Destiny Decree Master. The Destiny Decree will change again. Perhaps the 4 great intelligence networks will release a revised Destiny Decree soon. Witch Creek City couldn't be considered a small city of the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom, thus they naturally had branches of the intelligence networks here as well as eyes from the various major forces. The news that Lin Ming had killed Corpsemancer quickly passed through every major intelligence network. And Lin Ming's name was also inquired, Lin Lanjian. At this time, in the front hall of Heavencraft Pavilion, the purple-clothed Xiao Xiao knelt down in front of Lin Ming and was deeply bowing with reverential respect. Sir Lin, I will never forget this gratitude as long as I live. Grandma White also bowed. This was no longer just helping Xiao Xiao ascend to the position of company head, but had involved saving Xiao Xiao's very life. As she deeply bowed before Lin Ming, her heart hated Xiao Xiao's 2 great uncles to the extreme. She cursed them for their ruthlessness. They had actually gone to look for someone like Corpsemancer. That was the same as kicking Xiao Xiao into the depths hell. Since they no longer cared for face, she wouldn't keep any more scruples with her. As long as Lin Ming was here, she simply didn't fear a battle to the death. Miss Heavencraft, there is no need to bow to me. Lin Ming waved his hand. We are just helping each other out according to the previous agreement. Miss Heavencraft must not forget my dragon's pine grass either. I will definitely help Sir Lin find it as soon as possible. This is my Heavencraft Pavilion's Snow Ice Divine Pill. It has miraculous healing effects and also has the use of nourishing the meridians and dantian. Sir Lin, please accept it. Xiao Xiao extended a pill box with both hands, respectfully presenting it to Lin Ming. This was a miracle cure controlled by Heavencraft Pavilion. With Xiao Xiao's current authority, she didn't have the authorization to give it away without the approval of the Council of Elders. But now that the situation had devolved to this level and she had nearly been killed by her 2 great uncles, Xiao Xiao could no longer care about whatever Council of Elders. Having Lin Ming restore himself to his peak combat strength was the most important matter at hand. Lin Ming glanced at the white divine pill within the pill box. Indeed, it contained an incomparably rich heaven and earth origin energy. Even Lin Ming, who had seen a great number of miracle medicines in his time, also felt his heart stir. He didn't decline. He directly received the box and then entered his training chambers to restore himself. The battle with Corpsemancer had been strenuous and exacting on Lin Ming. However, he had gained a number of insights during it and needed to seize this chance to digest them. As everyone expected, in just a mere 3 days after Lin Ming and Corpsemancer's battle, a new Destiny Decree was issued forth. Every 3 years, the 4 great intelligence networks would collect all new information on every life destruction powerhouse's cultivation, progress, and recent battles. They would then use all this information to speculate on their current approximate strength. This was when a new Destiny Decree would be released. Generally, there would be far-reaching changes every time. Between the 2 issues of the Destiny Decree, if there was a fight between Destiny Decree powerhouses or a Destiny Decree powerhouse was killed, leading to a clear change in ranks, then a new revised edition of the Destiny Decree would be released. And this time, the revision of the Destiny Decree was because of Lin Ming. Chapter 783, First Appearance on the Destiny Decree. Chapter 783, First Appearance on the Destiny Decree. There were a total of 360 life destruction powerhouses ranked on the Destiny Decree. Those that could make the list on the Density Decree all had a certain degree of hope that they would one day reach the Divine Sea. Thus, most of those on the Destiny Decree were devoted cultivators and spent the majority of their life closed up in seclusion, rarely seen in public. Many major forces hoped to win over a few Destiny Decree masters to act as foreign patrons that could assist them. However, besides a few top national-level forces, even the countless organizations as wealthy as the Heavencraft Trading Company could not ever hope to win over one. Each divine kingdom only had a few dozen Destiny Decree powerhouses at their disposal. Moreover, for someone at their boundary, their main pursuit in life had become breaking through to the Divine Sea realm. Besides training and seeking out lucky breaks, They simply didn't care for dueling others. As for the struggles of wealth and power in the world, those were even more boring and worthless in their eyes. The only reason some Destiny Decree powerhouses were even willing to join top national influences was because of the vast amounts of resources that these organizations could provide. Because of how influential the Destiny Decree was, every major player in the world paid close attention to this list. Through this list, they could understand an approximate situation of the powerhouses in the 4 divine kingdoms, and at least understand the strength they showed to the public. The entire Destiny Decree was written in paper and then bound into a book. Every life destruction powerhouse occupied their own page, and thus every single issue of the Destiny Decree had 360 pages, no more, no less. Within these 360 pages, some characters that were currently attracting attention would be written in the decree using red ink. At this time, the one who was written down in red ink was Lin Ming. The 320th page had a name that was written down with large, blood-red characters. Lin Lanjian. The back of that page introduced a variety of information, including Lin Ming's fighting style, his moves, weapons, and current accomplishments. Lin Lanjian, weapon, spear. Killed the ranked 330th ranked Destiny Decree Master, Corpsemancer. Cultivation at the late Revolving Core Realm. An eternally rare talent. The Destiny Decree was generous with its praise. This ranking list had already existed for several thousand years, and there had been far too many geniuses recorded in its pages. Many of them had even gone on to become peerless emperors. However, to enter the Destiny Decree at just the Revolving Core Realm, Lin Ming was actually the first person to accomplish this in all these millennia. Just this point alone was enough to stir up a storm. A massive number of Witch Creek City's martial artists rushed over to Heavencraft Trading Company for a visit. For a time, the entire Heavencraft Trading Company was packed to the brim with business. Many of them wished to inquire about the news, and to also meet Lin Ming. There were also some representatives from major forces that wished to win over Lin Ming. If even this was impossible, then testing the waters didn't do any harm. In turn, this caused the recently struggling Heavencraft Trading Company to be booming with business. This was truly a serendipitous accident. At this time, Xiao Xiao no longer needed to accept the ruling of the family, and had more or less won the struggle for the position of family head in advance. At this time within the Heavencraft family, Xiao Xiao's 2 great-uncles were looking at the scarlet letters emblazoned on the Destiny Decree. It was as if the letters had been written in fresh, glistening red blood. Corpsemancer had died. Furthermore, he had been killed by Lin Ming. How could this be? Heavencraft Xiao muttered to himself, unable to believe that this was true. Big brother, what do we do? The sudden change in the current situation had rendered Heavencraft Yun listless. He would have absolutely never imagined that the random, young boy that Xiao Xiao drew in from somewhere had actually managed to kill the Destiny Decree ranked Corpsemancer. What can we do? Heavencraft Xiao harshly exhaled in a panic. However, he was also at a loss at the time. Paper could not wrap up fire, the truth would eventually come out. They couldn't depend on finding asylum in their family by arguing they had nothing to do with Corpsemancer. They were in the wrong to begin with to involve that Corpsemancer. If Xiao Xiao had been killed, then everything would have been fine. However, now that Corpsemancer had died, this would cause all the anger to be directed at them. Since Xiao Xiao also now had Lin Ming's support, she was in an invincible position. It would be impossible to find another Destiny Decree Master that could contend with Lin Ming in a short period of time. As for the Crown Prince, Heavencraft Xiao had no expectations that he would help. The Heavencraft Trading Company was only a potential boost to the Crown Prince, and now that things had come to this, the result was already foreseeable. There was no way that the Nine-Furnace Crown Prince would be willing to link himself with some dastardly villain like Corpsemancer. We can only take advantage of this time while Lin Lanjian is recuperating from his injuries to immediately leave through the secret transmission array to look for that sir. The changes within the Heavencraft Trading Company have already gone beyond our control. There is nowhere else we can go. Heavencraft Xiao painfully sighed. He no longer had any other choice. Once they made this decision, the 2 of them fled from the Heavencraft family under the cover of night. In a family like the Heavencraft family, They naturally had a special transmission array specifically used for escaping. If they left through this transmission array, they wouldn't need to be afraid that Lin Ming would chase them down and kill them. They no longer entertained the hopes of becoming the Heavencraft family head. At this time, at the Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom's Phoenix City, a young man wearing a five-clawed dragon royal robe was flipping through the new issue of the Destiny Decree, a thoughtful expression on his face. Crown Prince. A man wearing a green mask appeared in the Great Hall, respectfully bowing to the young man. This young man was the Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom's Crown Prince. He was in his 40s, but appeared as if he were in his 20s. This wasn't because he consumed a part of his cultivation to restore his youthful appearance, but because he had stepped into life destruction at a mere 30 years of age. After his physical body had been transformed and reborn, his appearance maintained the look of himself in his 20s, something that wouldn't change for thousands of years to come. Even men were pretty willing to maintain their youthful looks for as long as possible. However, if they were stranded in the revolving core realm until their 30s and 40s, there would still be a few traces of their age left on their faces, giving off the feel that they were middle-aged in appearance. If one wanted to keep the vivid vibrancy of youth, one would have to step into the life destruction realm at around 30 years of age. However, this sort of person would be a monstrous genius of their era. Without accident, they would inevitably step into the Divine Sea, and would even grow to become an astounding character amongst all Divine Sea powerhouses. Fleeting Dragon, what's the matter? The Nine Furnace Crown Prince quietly said as he closed the Destiny Decree. Reporting to Your Highness, the 2 chess pieces that your subordinate has arranged in the Heavencraft family have arrived at the royal palace overnight. They wish to seek an audience with the Crown Prince. Does Your Highness wish to grant them a meeting? To the green-masked man, Heavencraft Xiao and Heavencraft Yun were both unimportant characters that didn't have the qualifications to seek an audience with the Crown Prince. It was only the fact that Lin Lanjian had killed Corpsemancer that would pique the Crown Prince's interest, and then submit this report. Indeed, the Nine Furnace Crown Prince nodded and said, "Let them see me. In addition, Fleeting Dragon, I had you investigate the 3 great trading companies, the 2 great banks, and the 100 treasure auction house. How have you done so far?" Reporting to Your Highness, the Nine Furnace Guard is currently secretly investigating these groups. There aren't any major omissions with the 2 great banks and the 100 treasure auction house, but the 3 great trading companies all have a few existing problems. Oh, what about the Heavencraft Trading Company? The Nine Furnace Crown Prince nodded with satisfaction, a smile touching his face. We've already obtained precise evidence on the Heavencraft Trading Company. The Heavencraft Trading Company's previous head and the one before him had all made transactions in violation of the Divine Kingdom's laws. There were even some secret transactions done with the Azura Divine Kingdom that we can use to charge them with colluding with an enemy power, the green-masked man indifferently said. He was the chief commander of the Nine Furnace Guard. The so-called Nine Furnace Guard was a military faction under the direct control of the Divine Kingdom. They governed the nation's prisons and held great power in all other aspects. Their power and influence were terrifying, and they even had 5 Destiny Decree Masters in their ranks. This green-masked man was one of them, and also the strongest amongst them. His codename was Fleeting Dragon. All of the members of the Nine Furnace Guard wore embroidered robes and green masks. These masks were not for decoration, and were actually tools carved from wood spirit jade. Wood spirit jade had the special characteristic of isolating all external perception. Even a Divine Sea powerhouse could not pierce his perception even half of an inch into the wood spirit jade. Thus, as long as they wore these masks, then no one would ever be able to see the true expression of the Nine Furnace Guard martial artists. The entire Nine Furnace Guard had a total of 9,000 individuals, and their combat strength was just as fearful. They were under the direct jurisdiction of the Nine Furnace Crown Prince and could be considered as his right hand. Excellent. Organize all the evidence as soon as possible and bring it to me, the Nine Furnace Crown Prince said with a smile. Although this was a secret investigation, the truth was that the investigation had already been carried out for an entire 2 years thus far. As Fleeting Dragon heard this, he was secretly startled. He didn't know just what the Crown Prince was plotting, but the 3 great trading companies, the 2 great banks, and the 100 Treasure Auction House summed up to be a total of 6 major commercial organizations. They grasped nearly 10% of the entire 9-furnace Divine Kingdom's economy. Was the Crown Prince really preparing to swallow them all up? It had to be known that, for a trading company to develop to such a massive scale, it was impossible for them to wipe their asses clean of all the dirty deeds they committed. As long as one had the mind and resources to search, they absolutely could find some problems. In fact, this was a matter that everyone was aware of. Even so, all of the previous divine emperors of the 4 divine kingdoms tacitly consented to the existence of the economic oligarchy, because they could help manage the country and create wealth for all. Moreover, over 1/3 of their profits were collected into the divine kingdom's treasury. If one wished to annex these economic organizations, then it would be possible with the absolute suppressive strength of the 9-furnace divine kingdom's state power. If one didn't care for public opinion, then this was a simple matter. But this had already been tested by another divine kingdom once, and the truth had proved differently. After the great economic organizations were also taken under national country, it was easy for corruption to grow in management. This then led to a decline in efficiency and profit, eventually leading these organizations to close down in several years. This was simply not a wise move. The state machine was mostly able to grasp spirit essence stone mines, wood spirit jade sites, and other similarly simple resource-based industries. It was difficult to become involved in anything else. If a normal prince were to have these sort of thoughts, then Fleeting Dragon would have thought that he had delusions of grandeur and had become completely incompetent. But now, the one making this decision was the 9-furnace Crown Prince. Fleeting Dragon was well aware of just how great the 9-furnace Crown Prince's hidden strength was. He certainly wasn't an idiot that would make such an adult decision. Then, just what was he planning on doing? Was he really preparing to annex these 6 great economic organizations? That would definitely cause some level of turmoil in the Divine Kingdom. Fleeting Dragon imagined all these things, but he didn't question his orders. As the chief commander of the 9-furnace Guard, his only duty was to obey orders. 3 days later, Heavencraft Trading Company. Millimeter. An invitation to the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom's Divine Palace. At the Heavencraft Trading Company, Lin Ming had received a jade slip made from wood spirit jade. It was marked with an invitation to the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom's royal palace. Additionally, the one who sent this invitation was surprisingly the 9-furnace Crown Prince. The 9-furnace Crown Prince wishes for me to come to the Divine Palace as a guest and also bring Heavencraft Xiao Xiao? Lin Ming frowned as he repeated the message on the jade slip. Chapter 784. The Crown Prince's Invitation. Chapter 784. The Crown Prince's Invitation. In the past few days, Lin Ming had come to understand what sort of person the 9-furnace Crown Prince was. His name was Yang Yun, and his martial talent was extraordinary. It seemed as if he had come across an immense fortuitous encounter when he was young, and had now broken through to life destruction at a mere 30 years of age. Yang Yun was a character that wielded alarming power throughout the entire 9-furnace Divine Kingdom. He wasn't on a level that the likes of Li Yifeng could even compare to. Although Li Yifeng was a prince, there was a vast difference in their respective influence. Putting aside the disparity between the 7-star Divine Kingdom's strength and the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom's strength, just Yang Yun and Li Yifeng's respective status in their Divine Kingdoms alone was incomparable. Li Yifeng could at best be considered a playboy, and had a natural disposition towards laziness and fun. His finances were all controlled, and he had even been punished with confinement before. As for the 9-furnace Crown Prince, he had at least 5 subordinates that were all Destiny Decree Masters, and he himself was also ranked on the Destiny Decree. It was just that his ranking had been omitted from the decree, and there hadn't been any information dispatched about him for many years. The depths of his strength were a complete mystery to all. Compared to Yang Yun, Li Yifeng was just a little baby that hadn't grown up. It was impossible for Lin Ming to be at ease when facing such a character. Yang Yun was nearly twice his age, and even the power of his subordinates wasn't something Lin Ming could ever hope to contend with. For the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom, Yang Yun represented the peak of strength outside of the Divine Sea powerhouses. Despite the fact that Yang Yun had no enmity or grudge with Lin Ming, and that he shouldn't even have a reason to harm Lin Ming to begin with. Lin Ming didn't want to enter a place like the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom. That could truly be described as a dragon's lake or a tiger's cave, a truly dangerous zone. Most of the Destiny Decree Masters of the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom were subordinates of the Divine Kingdom. After all, the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom was not just a nation, but a quasi-6th-grade super-holy land. The Divine Kingdom's 3 great imperial scholars, 12 great officials, and 5 Nine-Furnace Guard captains were all Destiny Decree ranked characters, and were also ranked extremely high on the decree. In addition to that, the Divine Kingdom had emperor uncles and high princes that had lived for several thousand years and had gone into seclusion. These people were even more terrifying. They had most likely entered into the Divine Sea. In a sense, the current Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom could compare with the Demon God Imperial Palace to a small degree. The Demon God Imperial Palace had once been a great sect that ruled the world, the most terrifying power in the entire Skyspill continent. In front of these people, Lin Ming simply didn't have any strength to resist. Once he entered the Divine Palace, he would be at their disposal. Directly refusing Yang Yun wasn't a good idea either, however, as it might anger him. This way, Lin Ming could only sidestep this invitation by saying he still hadn't recovered from his wounds after his fight with Corpsemancer, and needed more time to recuperate. This was a tactful method of rejection. After Lin Ming passed out the message, he continued to train and practice alchemy. Just yesterday, Xiao Xiao had delivered the dragon's pine grass that she had promised, and 2 tufts of them at that. She had also delivered a considerable amount of spirit essence stone and wood spirit jade to him. This wasn't all Xiao Xiao's doing, but also the gifts that the Heavencraft Trading Company saved up to win over Lin Ming. Within the entire Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom, including the 3 great trading companies, 2 great banks, and 100 treasure auction house, the only business giant that had a Destiny Decree Master serving them was the 100 treasure auction house. This guest had also only lent his name, and wouldn't act unless there was a great event occurring. While this Destiny Decree Master was ranked somewhere similar to Lin Ming, he was already over 1,500 years old. He was far from comparing to Lin Ming's potential. If the Heavencraft Trading Company could be on good terms with Lin Ming, then the future returns would be inestimable. Who knew what the future held? Perhaps Lin Ming might even break through to the Divine Sea Realm. The Divine Sea Realm, a supreme elder that could, or even an entire divine kingdom. The top 100 ranked masters of the Destiny Decree were already characters that people couldn't even look up to. Then, what sort of existence would a Divine Sea Supreme Elder be? Even the elders of the Heavencraft Trading Company were unable to imagine this. If they could be on good terms, or even merely know of a Divine Sea Supreme Elder, that would make their family's status skyrocket. The Heavencraft Trading Company was a great power that didn't lack wealth. What they lacked was strength to take matters into their own hands. Underneath the absolute suppression of the Divine Kingdom, they were no different from defenseless pigs that were being raised up. They could be taken out of their pens and slaughtered at any time. Now, because Xiao Xiao was on good terms with Lin Ming, her status in the family had advanced by leaps and bounds. With her 2 great uncles escaping from the family under the cover of night using the transmission array, there was no longer anyone that was able to threaten her position as family head. The Council of Elders had already passed a resolution, and after another 2 months, an auspicious day would be chosen. Heavencraft Xiao Xiao would then complete the grand ceremony of family succession. Recently, Lin Ming's alchemical skills had also been constantly increasing. If he wished to refine the 5-Fade Void Pill to open the 3rd of the 8 inner hidden gates, though, he was still far from being able to do so. Lin Ming looked at the cosmic melting furnace alchemy materials that were floating in front of him. There was the 5 color fruit, void tempered root, dragon's pine grass, skyflower stones, as well as 3 gins of 200,000-year-old wood spirit jade. This wood spirit jade quality is a bit too poor. If I had million-year wood spirit jade, then my chances at success would be much higher. Unfortunately, wood spirit jade that old is just too rare. Even the Heavencraft Trading Company would have difficulty finding it. As Lin Ming was murmuring to himself, he suddenly felt a cold air rise up inside his chamber. Killing intent. Lin Ming's mind went cold. His training chamber had protective array formations surrounding it. If one didn't destroy the array formations, and only had their killing intent seep in, then that proved that this person's killing intent was unimaginably condensed. Lin Ming quickly put away the cosmic melting furnace and opened the protective array formation, exiting the training chamber. As he stepped outside, he saw that just 200 feet away from him stood a passive, green-masked man, whose ice-cold mask gave off a heartlessly indifferent feeling. A wood spirit jade carved mask. Lin Ming's mind stirred. With his understanding of wood spirit jade, he immediately understood the use of this mask. Wood spirit jade was able to isolate away all external perception. Because of this, a mask made of wood spirit jade was the most effective and simple method to hide one's own appearance. Even if a divine sea supreme elder stood here, they still wouldn't be able to identify who this person was. As for normal appearance-changing techniques, they could only fool with people's similar cultivations. Anyone with sharp enough eyes of high enough cultivation would instantly see through that type of disguise. I could borrow this method later. If Lin Ming hadn't seen this man in front of him, then he would never have thought wood spirit jade would also have this sort of function. You are. As Lin Ming looked at this green-masked man's cultivation, he didn't know just what sort of arcane ability this man practiced. Since his dantian had also been hidden in a deep fog, it was impossible to see through his cultivation. But, just from the aura that emitted from his body, Lin Ming could feel his own heart reacting by beating faster. Without a doubt, this person was a master among masters. He had come to Heavencraft Pavilion, but hadn't disturbed the guards. That killing intent he released just now also didn't have any malice behind it. This man had simply used this method to inform Lin Ming of his arrival. Thus, Lin Ming was able to approximately guess just what sort of status this man had. I am the 9 Furnace Guards Chief Commander. You may refer to me as Fleeting Dragon. The 9 Furnace Guard Chief Commander was under the direct control of the Crown Prince. Lin Ming wasn't surprised at all. When His Highness the Crown Prince invited Sir Lin for an audience, Sir Lin hadn't yet recovered. Now, a month has passed and His Highness the Crown Prince has specifically sent me here to inquire into Sir Lin's state and also send a miraculous healing pill. If Sir Lin's wound is cured, then please follow me back for a visit to the 9 Furnace Divine Palace. If Sir Lin still isn't feeling too well, then I shall wait at Heavencraft Pavilion until Sir Lin's wounds are healed. As the 9 Furnace Guard Chief Command said these words, Lin Ming no longer had any reasonable argument he could use to refuse. He could only reluctantly agree. He didn't wish to involve himself in the high-level battles of the 4 divine kingdoms. However, just seeing the Crown Prince might not be too bad either. For instance, the million-year wood spirit jade he needed may be very difficult for the Heavencraft Trading Company to find. However, the 9 Furnace Divine Palace should definitely have it or find it. The 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom was divided into 9 provinces. The 9 Furnace Divine Palace was located at the largest and busiest province, the Central Province. The area of just the Central Province was larger than 10 South Horizon regions combined. Around the Central Province, the other 8 provinces surrounded it. As for the back of the Central Province, that area extended to the edge of the Sea of Miracles. The Sea of Miracles was the greatest life-forbidden zone of the entire Skyspill continent. The 4 divine kingdoms surrounded the Sea of Miracles in a giant circle. And, far behind these 4 divine kingdoms was the South Sea, Fog Sea, North Sea, and Crimson Sea. At the very center of everything was the Sea of Miracles. This made the Skyspill continent to look like the shape of an irregular donut. The Sea of Miracles was also known as the Sea of No Return, and also the Ocean of Endless Storms. It was rumored that the entire sea was pitch black and covered with infinite lightning storms. To enter was to walk into certain death. Even a divine sea supreme elder was no exception. As for the 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom's Divine Palace, that was only 10,000 miles from the shores of the Sea of Miracles. As Lin Ming arrived at the foot of the 9 Furnace Divine Palace, he looked up to see a 100,000-foot-high snow-capped mountain range. The 9 Furnace Divine Palace was actually established above these mountains. This wasn't strange at all, as most sects were built above mountains or spiritual islands. This was because these types of places often had extremely high-quality spirit veins. The nine-furnace divine palace was also the same. Just by arriving at the base of the mountains, Lin Ming could feel a rich heaven and origin energy rushing over him like a never-ending tide, submerging him within. With every breath he took, he could feel all traces of this energy seep into his own dantian, subtly raising his cultivation. If just standing at the base of these mountains had such an effect, then the origin energy density at the summit could be imagined. This was also the reason that so many Destiny Decree Masters were willing to join the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom. If they could close up and train in the Nine-Furnace Divine Palace, then that would be far better than any other place they could go to. These are 6th grade spirit veins, or maybe even higher. Lin Ming had never seen a higher spirit vein before, and was thus unable to estimate the level of this land's spirit veins. Beside Lin Ming, even the normally silent fleeting dragon revealed a trace of pride in his eyes as he saw the Nine-Furnace Divine Palace. He said, "This mountain is named the Nine-Furnace Divine Mountain, and the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom's name originates from this mountain. The founding ancestor of the Nine-Furnace sect established his sect on the Nine-Furnace Divine Mountain. It grew from there, it finally becoming the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom. The Nine-Furnace Divine Mountain came first, and the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom followed after. Sir Lin, Miss Heavencraft, please follow me up the mountain." When the Crown Prince invited Lin Ming, he had also conveniently invited Xiao Xiao. This caused Xiao Xiao to be terrified. Just what sort of legendary existence was the Nine-Furnace Crown Prince? She had no idea why someone like the Crown Prince would invite her. Was it just to accompany Lin Lanjian here? Chapter 785, Let Me See Your Armor. Chapter 785, Let Me See Your Armor. The Nine-Furnace Divine Mountain reached 100,000 feet high. The summit was covered in pure white snow all year round. Within the endless expanse of snow and the deep blue glacier, countless towers of jade soared high up into the skies. Every tower was supported by array formations. Ancient snow fell outside, but within the tower, under the effect of these formations, rare flowers from all seasons blossomed in all their splendor, full of life and vitality. It was truly a sight to behold. While one side was covered in endless snow and ice, the other side was filled with lush green spiritual plants. Such a sharp and clear contrast was like a heavenly paradise on earth. At the summit of the Nine-Furnace Divine Mountain there was a beautiful lake that displayed all 4 seasons. This lake was named the Nine-Flower Lake. This entire lake was covered in a dense fog, and at its center was a pavilion carved from jade. Within this pavilion was a young man that was lightly playing a zither. The zither's melody that thrummed in the air was pleasant to the ears. In the Nine-Flower Lake, snow lotuses bloomed all around. As this jade-like handsome young man played his zither, he appeared even purer and loftier than a woman, as if he were an immortal that had descended down from the heavens. As the young man saw Lin Ming and Xiao Xiao arrive, he faintly smiled. "Brother Lin, welcome to the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom as my honored guest." The young man's voice had a strangely pleasant lilt to it. It made one feel very comfortable listening to him. Is he the Nine-Furnace Crown Prince? The Divine Kingdom Crown Prince in front of him was completely different from what he had imagined. Lin Lanjian greets His Highness the Crown Prince. Lin Ming simply cupped his hands across his chest. As someone who wasn't from the Divine Kingdom, there was no need for him to be overly courteous. Brother Lin is too polite. Yang Yun similarly cupped his hands across his chest. This was a ritual exchange from those of the same generation. There was no hint of the status of the Nine-Furnace Crown Prince behind it. Fleeting Dragon, guide Brother Lin to the reception hall. I shall head there soon after. Yes, Fleeting Dragon respectfully said. Lin Ming could feel from this respect that the Nine-Furnace Crown Prince was an extraordinary character. Otherwise it would be impossible to sincerely convince a master like Fleeting Dragon. The Nine-Furnace Crown Prince's dantian was also covered in a thick fog. It was impossible to see his cultivation. I heard that Yang Yun crossed into life destruction at just 30 years of age. 10 years have passed now. I wonder what stage of life destruction he has reached now. Lin Ming didn't doubt that Yang Yun could even jump ranks to fight. If so, then his strength was terrifying. After arriving at the reception hall, Yang Yun arrived in just half an incense stick of time. At this time, He had changed his clothes and was now wearing a purple gold robe as well as a purple gold crown. The robe he wore was embroidered with the image of a 5-clawed golden dragon. Whether consciously or unconsciously, he emitted a noble air around him that made others want to fall to their knees and worship him. This sort of aura that made one wish to bow before him was called the legendary breath of the king. This so-called breath of the king was similar to a force field, the only difference being that it was far weaker in intensity. To a martial artist on the level of Lin Ming, this sort of aura had absolutely no use. But Xiao Xiao was different. She felt a great pressure just from standing in front of Yang Yun. That previously jade-like handsome, ethereal Yang Yun had now overlapped with the current Yang Yun that released the breath of the king. It was impossible to distinguish just which one was the real Yang Yun. Yang Yun realized that Xiao Xiao's complexion had paled. He gently smiled at her and then purposefully restrained his energy. Xiao Xiao immediately felt the pressure on her lighten and her face flushed red again. "I apologize, Miss Heavencraft. Tsue, please brew a pot of jade tea for Miss Heavencraft." The last few words were spoken to a palace maid. Xiao Xiao gratefully smiled, flattered that someone like Yang Yun would care about such an unimportant person as her. As for the jade tea, as the young mistress of the Heavencraft Trading Company, Xiao Xiao was well aware of just what that was. That was an extremely precious yin attribute tea. It was said that if a mortal woman drank a cup of it she would become 1 year younger, and if she drank an entire pot she would become 10 years younger. This was no exaggeration. Only after stepping on the path of cultivation would one's life potential develop. Hence, as a mortal, it was relatively easier to extend their life. But for a martial artist, especially life-destruction martial artists, because they had trained themselves to the limit, they had to completely unearth all of their life's potential. Thus, wanting to extend their life was far too difficult. The maid named Tsue respectfully served tea to everyone. Her appearance was exquisite and with her young age she still had a Xiantian realm cultivation. For such a heavenly gifted girl to be a palace maid, this was obviously proof of the 9-furnace divine kingdom's legacy. She poured the jade tea in Xiao Xiao teacup and also served ice lotus tea to Lin Ming and the 9-furnace crown prince. This sort of tea was even more precious than jade tea. It was produced from the dried petals of the ice lotuses that grew around the 9-flower lake. As for the ice lotuses of the 9-flower lake, they could be called heavenly treasures. The 9-furnace crown prince smiled and said, "Brother Lin is truly an astounding person. You are just over 20 years of age and yet you've managed to step into the pages of the destiny decree with just a late revolving core cultivation. When I was Brother Lin's age, the difference was simply far too great." The 9-furnace crown prince ruefully smiled. Lin Ming didn't respond, only waiting for the 9-furnace crown prince to state his intention for inviting him over here. However, the 9-furnace crown prince had no intention of doing so. Instead, he and Lin Ming talked about the customs and policies of the 4 divine kingdoms, as well as relating to him the various large sects and influences, and all sorts of other strange information. Yang Yun was an eloquent individual and extremely well-spoken. His manner of speaking was charming and light, make him very comfortable and disarming to talk to. Even Xiao Xiao couldn't help but have a favorable impression of him. Finally, after an hour of conversation had passed, Lin Ming asked, "May I ask why your highness has requested my presence here?" "Haha, Brother Lin need not worry, I merely like to befriend the heroes of this world. Also, Brother Lin, there's no need to be so polite. Please, call me Yang Yun." Yang Yun's words were well said and Lin Ming didn't speak further. The truth was that he knew that the so-called befriending heroes of this world and winning over the will of people all meant that he was recruiting others for his own purposes. Yang Yun's cleverness lay in the fact that he didn't directly mention this matter. Instead, he first wanted to be friends with Lin Ming. Friends first, leader after. Otherwise, it would be too easy to be turned at the start. Even though Lin Ming had guessed Yang Yun's true intentions, he still didn't refuse him. Brother Yang's skill in fine arts and military expertise is renowned throughout the world. In the future, you'll likely become an unrivaled divine emperor. For Brother Yang to value me so highly is truly flattering. Haha, Brother Lin is too modest. I wonder which force Brother Lin originated from. With Brother Lin's talent, I fear you'll become the top powerhouse of the Sky Spill continent in the future. When that time comes, I might need to rely on Brother Lin." The two young men complimented each other. Lin Ming smiled, not responding to Yang Yun's inquiry of his background. In response, Yang Yun tactfully didn't ask again. "Brother Lin, I happen to have invited some astounding young elites from the Sky Spill continent here today for a banquet at the Nine-Flower Lake. Would Brother Lin like to join me to the lake and share in some wine whilst meeting the heroes of this world?" To be considered an astounding young elite by Yang Yun, they must have the most extraordinary prides of heaven within the entire Sky Spill continent. Not only would their strength and talent be extraordinary, but they should also be greatly influential. For instance, the successor of a great sect or perhaps an extremely powerful divine kingdom prince. Lin Ming hadn't replied yet when a maid came in to report on some news. "Your Highness, the White Clan princess has arrived." "Oh. Then I shall immediately go to receive her. Brother Lin, how about going with me?" "Millimeter, all right." Lin Ming nodded. Yang Yun had indeed invited heroic young elites that stood at the very peak of the Sky Spill continent. These people all ranged from their 20s to their 50s. For the Xiantian realm, someone 50 years old would be considered middle-aged. But if one could step into the life-destruction realm in their 30s, then they would appear in their 20s even if they were 50 years of age. In addition, life-destruction powerhouses lived for thousands of years. Thus, a 50-year-old life-destruction powerhouse could also be considered someone of the younger generation. The White Clan Princess, the Great Smelting Kingdom Prince, and the 7-star High Prince successor, each of them were eminent characters. For instance, that White Clan Princess. The so-called White Clan was a family clan that lived at the borders of the Nine-Furnace Divine Kingdom in a hidden world. This family clan had a very special bloodline. They had a bloodline seal. A bloodline seal was a special ability inherited through the bloodline of that family clan. This sort of ability could only be inherited by direct descendants. 2,000 years ago, a Divine Sea Supreme Elder was born in the White Clan, thus they became worthy of being a true Holy Land level power. And now, their current family head also had a high chance of breaking through to the Divine Sea. At that time, their White Clan would have 2 Supreme Elders backing them. Although that was far from being able to match with the 4 Divine Kingdoms, it was still a focal superpower. The White Clan Princess was the future successor to the family head. Thus, her prominent status could be imagined. There was not much to say of the Great Smelting Kingdom Prince. He had already earned a similar reputation to the Nine-Furnace Crown Prince a long time ago. Within the sublime smelting divine kingdom, the title of Crown Prince was an empty position. Currently, there were several powerful competitors vying for this seat, and this great smelting prince was one of them. He was currently 45 years old and also ranked on the destiny decree. Although the combined power of his subordinates was weaker than Yang Yun, he was still extremely terrifying. As for the 7 Prince High Prince successor, his status was a bit poorer. However, his grandfather was ranked in the top 2 Divine Sea powerhouses of the entire 7-star Divine Kingdom. That grandfather's status was absolutely terrifying. If other Divine Sea Supreme Elders ran into him, even they had to greet him as if they were a junior. This group of people consisted of some of the most illustrious characters of the Sky Spill continent, princes amongst princes. Because Xiao Xiao accompanied Lin Ming, she also followed him to this banquet. As she faced this crowd of young people that stood at the very peak of the Sky Spill continent, even she, who she felt was worldly and had seen the great world, felt breathless. Compared to these people in front of her, everyone she had ever come into contact with was nothing at all. As the host, Yang Yun introduced everyone one at a time. As every person was introduced, Xiao Xiao would be increasingly shocked every time. But as for Lin Ming, he remembered their appearance and background as well as silently estimating their strength. In the 4 Divine Kingdoms, it was inevitable that he would encounter these individuals in the future. As Lin Ming was introduced, Yang Yun only used a few simple words to describe him, the only revolving core talent to enter the destiny decree in 1,000 years, Lin Lanjian. Millimeter? He is Lin Lanjian. The great smelting prince looked at Lin Ming, a bit astonished. He had also been wondering who Lin Ming was and why he was standing here. Now that the great smelting prince knew that he was Lin Lanjian, even with his high and prominent status, he still held a deep respect in his heart when facing this sort of top talent that couldn't be judged by common sense. "You are Lin Lanjian?" In the pavilion, a black-clothed youth stood up. He was an Azura Divine Kingdom prince. "I am." Lin Ming cupped his hands across his chest. He was a bit puzzled as he felt this black-clothed youth's blazing eyes locked onto him. Just what problem did this fellow have with him? Was it related to Corpsemancer? Or was this fellow one of those battle crazies that challenged every powerhouse they saw and now wanted to fight him? However, Lin Ming never imagined that this black-clothed youth would suddenly step forward and point at Lin Ming's clothes. "Lin Lanjian, I want to take a look at the armor you're wearing. How about it?" "Millimeter?" Lin Ming frowned. Randomly asking to view another's treasure was extremely rude. He didn't expect the following explanation either. "Lin Lanjian, I suspect that your armor is the sacred relic of my clan, the Demon Emperor's armor." Chapter 786, Domineering. Chapter 786, Domineering. "What?" The Azura prince's few words shocked all of the martial artists present. These sorts of words were equal to accusing Lin Ming of stealing away their Azura clan's Demon Emperor armor. All of the heroic young elites present had heard more or less of Lin Ming's armor. When Lin Ming and Corpsemancer fought, at the moment that both of them attacked each other in a suicidal manner, Lin Ming had relied on this black armor to block Corpsemancer's final strike. Otherwise, this eternal top talent might have perished that day. According to this Azura prince, that Demon Emperor armor originally belonged to the Azura Divine Kingdom. Everyone's eyes turned to Lin Ming. Lin Ming's eyes became ice cold. The Demon Emperor armor was a treasure he had personally taken out from the cosmic melting furnace, yet this black-clothed youth in front of him was actually claiming that it was a sacred relic lost by his Azura Divine Kingdom and wanted to take it back. How could Lin Ming not be angered by such an overbearingly false charge? "You say that my armor belongs to your Azura Divine Kingdom? What evidence do you have?" Lin Ming slowly stood up, a faint chill in his voice. In fact, Lin Ming already thought that there was some connection between the Azura Divine Kingdom and the Holy Demon Continent. The Azura Divine Kingdom cultivated the demonic path, and Corpsemancer also had a giant demon puppet that had come from the Azura Divine Kingdom. From this alone it could be seen that the Azura Divine Kingdom must have members of the giant demon race that came from the Holy Demon Continent. The black-clothed youth jeered at Lin Ming with disdain. "Evidence? Humph. Do you think that as a noble Azura Divine Kingdom prince, I would actually lay a false charge against you? Even the common mortals know that the first great demon emperor is my Azura Divine Kingdom's faith and first-generation sovereign king. As for that black armor you're wearing, it was forged by the demon emperor himself. That's it. That's your evidence." Lin Ming's lips curved up in a mocking smile. "The demon emperor is your Azura Divine Kingdom's first sovereign king?" From his memories, Lin Ming knew that the sect the Demon Emperor had established in the Sky Spill continent was the South Sea's Demon God Imperial Palace. But the Demon God Imperial Palace was destroyed after and the Demon Emperor ascended into the realm of the gods. He had simply never established any sort of Azura Divine Kingdom. And the most vital point was that the Demon Emperor existed 70,000 to 80,000 years ago. How could he possibly be the Azura Divine Kingdom's first sovereign king? As the Azura prince saw Lin Ming's taunting smile, he grew angry. "Who do you think you are? Do you dare to ridicule my Azura Divine Kingdom?" As he spoke, the Azura prince released a thick killing intent. The temperature throughout the entire pavilion lowered until a cold wind blew throughout. Lin Ming remained unmoved. There were indeed several people that alarmed him here, especially that nine-furnace crown prince, Yang Yun. It could be said that he was unfathomable. But the Azura prince wasn't included in that group. This Azura prince was only around 30 years old. He was simply nothing at all. How many years of history does your Azura Divine Kingdom have? Do you know how long ago it was that the Demon Emperor existed? Hearing Lin Ming's question, the Azura prince's face flashed with pride and disdain. Although he was staring at Lin Ming, he didn't even see him at all, as if he were nothing but air. The Demon Emperor is a character that lived 70,000 years ago. My Asura Divine Kingdom was officially founded only 12,000 years ago, but before that my Asura Divine Kingdom was actually a hidden sect for 70,000 years. We are the most ancient sect within the entire Sky Spill continent, bar none. As the Asura prince uttered these words, Yang Yun appeared very calm without a trace of an expression at all. But the great smelting prince frowned, obviously not willing to acknowledge this. Although there hasn't been any phantom recordings of your battle with Corpsemancer, but my Asura Divine Kingdom was able to use a special technique to investigate the memories of the spectators. Your Demon Emperor armor has special characteristics that are explicitly described in the ancient texts of my Asura Divine Kingdom. The appearance and nature are fully consistent with the description. By just this point alone, I wouldn't have full confidence the armor you're wearing is the Demon Emperor armor. After all, it might be a replica. But the most important evidence I have is that your Demon Emperor armor is missing its Heartguard mirror, and that Heartguard mirror is in the possession of my Asura Divine Kingdom. As the Asura prince spoke, he took out a black metal disc from his spatial ring. This was the Demon God Emperor's Heartguard mirror. Everyone, this is a replica of my Asura Divine Kingdom's Demon Emperor armor's Heartguard mirror. Lin Lanjian, do you dare to show that armor you're wearing and let us all have a look as to whether you're missing a Heartguard mirror? I can tell you that the shape of the gap in the Demon Emperor armor exactly matches this replica Heartguard mirror. The Asura prince's words were aggressively spoken. All of the heroic young elites present looked at Lin Ming. Several of them had heard of an approximate description of Lin Ming's demon armor. It seemed it was indeed missing a Heartguard mirror. If this were true, then the Asura prince's words weren't groundless. In the face of the Asura prince's accusations, Lin Ming wasn't panicked or in disbelief as everyone thought he would be. Instead, his expression was that of cold decisiveness, as if everything the Asura prince had said about the Heartguard mirror didn't matter at all. Didn't you hear me? The Asura prince took a fierce step forward and took out a chillingly cold long spear from his spatial ring. Yang Yun stood up at this time. Sichu Chuan, everyone here today are guests that I have personally invited. This Nine Flowers banquet is a gathering of astounding young elites from all over the world. Are you planning on causing an upheaval at my Nine Flowers banquet? Yang Yun's words didn't carry any momentum with them, but they still gave of an inexplicably fearful feeling. Even the Asura prince felt somewhat afraid. At this time, another black-clothed martial artist stood up and said, "Your Highness Crown Prince, we have no intention of causing any conflict at this banquet. It's just that my Asura Divine Kingdom's Demon Emperor armor truly was lost 12,000 years ago. My Asura Divine Kingdom opened the Demon Emperor mystic realm left behind by the Demon Emperor in order to take out the rare treasures he kept there. However, because of spies that were mixed into our sect, some dastardly thieves managed to sneak their way in and make out with part of our inheritances and treasures. I suspect that this Demon Emperor armor is one of them. It is an extremely important holy relic of my Divine Kingdom. We must recover it by any means possible." The martial artist who spoke was also from the Asura Divine Kingdom, a High Prince successor. Although he was no longer cut off from the inheritances of direct descendants, he still cared a great deal about the Demon Emperor armor. According to the ancient records, the complete Demon Emperor armor could not only defend against attacks but also increase a martial artist's strength and true essence, playing a ghostly and unpredictable effect in battle. Besides, Lin Ming might even have cultivation methods or other inheritances of the Demon Emperor. If he could recover this, then he would have an opportunity to train them. The black-clothed martial artist spoke to Yang Yun and then turned to Lin Ming. "Lin Lanjian, we won't investigate how you came about that Demon Emperor armor as long as you return it to us. In fact, not only will we not dig into your past, but we will also grant you a few gifts in gratitude. We believe that young hero Lin truly must not have known that the Demon Emperor armor originated as a main inheritance of my Asura Divine Kingdom." The Asura Divine Kingdom's high successor already felt that he was gracious enough. If Lin Ming knew his limits, then he should back down now. But in the next moment, Lin Ming's response nearly caused his lungs to explode in rage. Lin Ming traced his spatial ring and sneered, "I've never seen someone so shameless that never cared about face before. You're saying that just because that Heartguard mirror matches with my Demon Emperor armor that it belongs to your Azura Divine Kingdom? How ridiculous. Why don't you say that your Azura Divine Kingdom's Heartguard mirror belongs to me originally? Lin Lanjian, do you want to die? The black-clothed martial artist pounded the table. He had never seen such a crazy person that dared to insult their Azura Divine Kingdom like so. The Azura Prince Sichu Chuan had an extremely ugly complexion. He pointed his spear point straight at Lin Ming and said with a voice full of killing intent, "Brother Yang, you saw what happened. It isn't me not giving you face, but this Lin Lanjian doesn't care about decorum at all. We already decided not to investigate how Lin Lanjian seniors stole their way into my Azura Divine Kingdom's Demon Emperor Mystic Realm, but this man actually dares to be so shameless as to say that all those stolen treasures belong to him. Brother Yang, even if you must stop me today, I will still wet the earth with blood." At this point, within Lin Ming's spiritual sea, Demon Shine was already angrily growling. No matter how anyone considered it, only Demon Shine could be considered the most worthy descendant of the Demon Emperor. This group of smelly brats are truly shameless. They actually dare to pose as the Demon Emperor's descendant. This saint is about to laugh to death. They must have somehow found their way into Master's mystic realm 12,000 years ago. Then, they plundered the mystic realm and obtained the Heartguard mirror as well as some rare cultivation method manuals. As for all that talk about spies and thieves, those should have been competitors that entered the mystic realm with them. It's just that this so-called Azura Divine Kingdom must have obtained the majority of the goods while everyone else only obtained a little bit. Then those damned fellows must have posed as Master's descendants and then claimed that all of Master's inheritances belonged to them. They are simply brain-addled idiots. Lin Ming, kill him. Paint the walls with his blood. Considering what he himself knew, together with his incomplete memories of the Demon Emperor, Lin Ming also agreed with Demon Shine. The Azura Divine Kingdom that claimed to be the so-called descendants of the Demon Emperor must have found one of the Demon Emperor's mystic realms from somewhere, one that hadn't been the Demon God Imperial Palace either. As for that Demon Emperor armor being stolen from the mystic realm, that was simply nonsense. Lin Ming said, "The mystic realms left behind by the ancient ancestors are all ownerless to begin with. They're left for the fated ones to obtain the treasures within. Your Azura Divine Kingdom only managed to obtain one of the multiple mystic realms that the Demon Emperor left behind, and yet you actually dare to claim without any justification at all that the Demon Emperor is the first sovereign king of your Azura Divine Kingdom and say that everything related to the Demon Emperor from all the mystic realms of the world actually belong completely to you. How openly and brazenly shameless of you. Lin Lanjian. You dare to insult my Azura Divine Kingdom again and again. If I don't kill you today, I'll never rest." The Azura Prince revealed a thick killing intent. His expression as he looked at Lin Ming was as if he were staring at a person who had already died. Lin Ming was well aware that further words were useless. He extracted the red spear from his spatial ring and coldly said, "If you want to fight then let's fight, don't waste my time." "Good. You truly are crazy. Lin Lanjian, since you want to die so bad then let me help you along. Brother Yang, you have already heard that Lin Lanjian does not oppose this battle. As such, it can't be described as ruining your 9 flowers banquet." As Sichu Chuan spoke, his lips curved up in a vicious smile. He had already decided to kill Lin Ming here and take away the Demon Emperor armor. This would be a great accomplishment for him. If he used a soul-searching technique, he might even be able to find traces of the Demon Emperor's other inheritances from Lin Ming. This might even include the more precious latter layers of the great desolate halberd art. Sichu Chuan didn't believe for a second that Lin Ming could have such accomplishments today without benefiting from top cultivation methods. As long as he could steal away these techniques and study them himself, then his strength would be greater and the Azura Divine Kingdom would be that much stronger. Chapter 787, A Stipulation of 10 Moves. Chapter 787, A Stipulation of 10 Moves. Battle was inevitable. Yang Yun stood at the center of the 9-flower lake's jade pavilion, his clothes fluttering in the wind as he said with a calm expression, "Must you really fight? Humph, Lin Lanjian has humiliated the legacy of my divine kingdom. I must kill him." Sichu Chuan said, his voice brooking no doubt. Since that's the case, let's make a stipulation of 10 moves. Victory or defeat will be decided in 10 moves, there will be no more fighting after that. Yang Yun had settled on 10 moves because he was in fact trying to prevent any deaths occurring from this battle. If these two truly did engage in a fierce struggle, dying wouldn't be unusual. Having lives taken at his 9 Flowers banquet would inevitably bring criticism to Yang Yun. Moreover, his original intention had been to befriend Lin Ming, so he couldn't allow Sichu Chuan to kill him. But on the other hand, it wouldn't be good if Lin Ming killed Sichu Chuan either. Sichu Chuan was a prince of the Azura Divine Kingdom. If he died under Lin Ming's hands, then Lin Ming would be chased down and hunted by the Azura Divine Kingdom. If Yang Yun were to try shielding Lin Ming at that time, then that would be the same as publicly slapping the entire Azura Divine Kingdom in the face. Although there was always infighting and espionage occurring between the 4 divine kingdoms, nothing too great had ever broken out. Everyone knew just how terrifying the consequences would be of 2 divine kingdoms engaging in war. Humph, 10 moves are more than enough to kill you. Don't think that you are invincible just because you managed to hang on to the very end of the destiny decree. If it wasn't for the fact that the princes of the 4 divine kingdoms weren't allowed to be listed without permission, I too would be on the destiny decree. For the inheritance of the divine emperor's throne, unless one was an absolute successor like Yang Yun, there would always be struggles that caused tides of blood to bloom throughout the kingdom. At that time, a prince's strength was an extremely sensitive topic. Thus, the 4 great intelligence networks wouldn't easily arrange a prince on the destiny decree. Yang Yun was also the same. Of course, there were also some princes that were willing to allow themselves to be ranked on the destiny decree in order to shore up support for their side. For instance, the Great Smelting Prince was listed on the destiny decree. Although Sichu Chuan was full of confidence, the truth was that he kept 120% vigilance and was ready to display his complete strength. He was well aware just how troublesome Lin Ming could be. Corpsemancer was not an idiot. If he died underneath Lin Ming's hands, then Lin Ming naturally had his strengths. Then Azura Divine Kingdom's High Prince successor Sichu Feng said, 10 moves. If Lin Lanjian loses in that time, then he must hand over the Demon Emperor armor. Sichu Feng was also the descendant of a Divine Sea Supreme Elder, and he too was extraordinarily strong, otherwise it would have been impossible for him to participate in this 9 Flowers banquet. However, Sichu Feng, Sichu Chuan, Yang Yun, and everyone else here were all the same. Their dantian was covered in layers of thick fog, so it was impossible to see just how high their cultivation was. This sort of technique to hide one's cultivation was extremely common in the 4 divine kingdoms. Sichu Feng's eyes shined as he glared at Lin Ming, full of provocation. Lin Ming was silent for a moment and then he said in a deep bass voice, "If I lose, then I will deliver to you the Demon Emperor armor. But what if I win? Will you hand me the Demon Emperor Amor's Heartguard mirror?" "Dream on!" Sichu Chuan angrily shouted, "The Demon Emperor armor is originally the holy relic of my Azura Divine Kingdom. Your ancestors stole the Demon Emperor armor from us 12,000 years ago, and now you actually desire the Heartguard mirror too. You truly have no idea of death or danger. Hee hee." Lin Ming contemplatively smiled, "The one who has no idea of death or danger is you. You keep on spouting on and on about how the Demon Emperor is your ancestor, but yet you have no evidence at all. Are you afraid of betting the Heartguard mirror because you know you've already lost? You." Sichu Chuan was about to rush forwards before Sichu Feng held him down. "Surname Lin, let alone that it is useless, I will also tell you that it is impossible for us to give you the Heartguard mirror. We have no authority to do so, and it isn't in our possession to begin with. If we lose, then we will give you 100,000 Spirit Essence Stones." Even though Sichu Feng promised 100,000 Spirit Essence Stones in a single breath, Lin Ming didn't even bat an eyelash. 100,000 Spirit Essence Stones as a bet for the Demon Emperor armor? Your plans are quite exquisite. 100,000 Spirit Essence Stones was not a small number, but it was naturally far from being able to compare to the Demon Emperor armor. According to Demon Shine, the complete Demon Emperor armor was no less valuable than the Cosmic Melting Furnace, a quasi-saint artifact. Also, a defensive quasi-saint artifact was extremely rare. In terms of value, it would not lose out to a true offensive saint artifact. A saint artifact was extremely valuable even in the realm of the gods. It wasn't something that could be purchased with a mere 100,000 spirit essence stones. If you lose, then take out 10 jin of million-year wood spirit jade and also 1 jin of wood spirit jade quintessence. Sichu Feng's eyes turned red. There was simply no price for million-year wood spirit jade. There wasn't much of that even in the treasuries of the 4 divine kingdoms combined. As for wood spirit jade quintessence, that was even rarer. That required at least 5 million-year wood spirit jade. After wood spirit jade passed through an immeasurable long time, its most basic components would slowly seep out into the surrounding rock, and the impurities within the rock would also permeate the wood spirit jade. It was impossible for ordinary wood spirit jade to exist for several million years. It would simply become a fossil. In order for wood spirit jade to retain its purity throughout 5 million years, it would need to be formed from a top heavenly material. For instance, materials such as a 70,000 to 80,000 year nirvana dragon roots, 9 nethergrass, profound gold divine fruit, and so on. These sorts of spiritual plants were few and far between to begin with. Wood spirit jade of this sort was nearly extinct. Once it was formed, it would swallow the natural life essence of the sun and moon, gaining intelligence after a long period of time, and sometimes even gaining its own life. The value of wood spirit jade quintessence was impossible to measure with spirit essence stones. What kind of crazy act are you trying to pull? Sichu Chuan roared. Compared to 10 jin of million-year wood spirit jade and another jin of wood spirit jade quintessence, the Demon Emperor armor is still more valuable. Lin Ming coldly said. Sichu Chuan laughed like a craving madman. I think that you've misunderstood the situation. You simply do not have the qualifications to discuss conditions with us. If my Azura Divine Kingdom wishes to crush you, then we can crush you just like an ant. Oh. Then there's nothing to discuss. Come see me again when you have the guts to make a bet. Lin Ming began to put his spear away. If Sichu Chuan and Sichu Feng didn't dare to make a bet, then they wouldn't be able to take back the Demon Emperor armor. How could the usually proud and arrogant Sichu Chuan swallow such an insult? I'm afraid you won't be alive anymore. 10 jin of million-year wood spirit jade and another jin of wood spirit jade quintessence. I'll take your life in 10 moves. Sichu Chuan had already impatiently jumped out. He pointed his long spear at Lin Ming and said, I will use your blood as a sacrifice to the Demon Emperor armor. Whoosh! With a loud rustling sound, hundreds of crimson seals began spinning around the edge of Sichu Chuan's spear. These were all blood-drinking seals. Great desolate halberd art? Lin Ming was slightly startled and then immediately relieved. When he first went into the Demon God Imperial Palace, he hadn't been able to locate the Great Desolate Halberd Art. The Great Desolate Halberd Art he knew was the complete cultivation method extracted from the Demon Emperor's soul fragment. Now it seemed as if the jade slip containing the Great Desolate Halberd Art was kept at another ancient ruins site, and this site had been obtained by the Azura Divine Kingdom. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. With a loud whistling sound, several hundred crimson seals rapidly revolved around the long spear. Lin Ming was familiar with all of these moves. In the past, he had once tried stepping onto the slaughter path. However, he eventually proved that the road others trod didn't necessarily suit him. Only by walking his own path would he be able to move towards the peak of all martial arts. Lin Ming finally took the Great Desolate Halberd Art as well as several other different techniques, using them as a foundation. After comprehending the Great Desolate Halberd Art and fusing in the concept of space, the concept of thunder, as well as the concept of fire, he was able to create moves such as Chasing Sun, Chasing Thunder, Penetrating Rainbow, and Bury the Heavens. To Lin Ming, the power of these abilities was far mightier than the pure Great Desolate Halberd Art. Let me experience your Great Desolate Halberd Art. Lin Ming's eyes flashed with a brilliant fighting spirit. He wanted to just how powerful the Demon Emperor's famed battle technique would be in the hands of a purely demonic path martial artist. He wanted to see how this compared to his own self-created techniques. Whoosh! With a loud cry, Sichu Chuan's spear shot forwards. His first attack was Blood Seal Twisting Murder. The crimson blood-drinking seals rapidly revolved, issuing out harsh grating sounds as if space itself was being torn to shreds. In these 10 moves, Sichu Chuan would go all out with everything he had. He would naturally try to kill Lin Ming in these 10 moves. Lin Ming didn't plan on staying his hand. He also didn't underestimate Sichu Chan. With a thrust of his spear, the dual concepts of thunder and fire fused together, intensely colliding with Blood Seal twisting murder. Ca. Blood Seals smashed onto Lin Ming's red spear, wanting to bounce the spear away. This was Blood Seal twisting murder's special effect, twisting away the weapon and directly piercing the chest. Lin Ming had already expected this. He poured his battle spirit into the shaft of his spear. The concept of thunderfire erupted. Bang! A sound filled the air like a bolt of heavenly thunder crashing into the earth. A terrifying air wave washed out in all directions. Even though the 9-flower lake pavilion was protected by a hidden array formation, this array formation still creaked and trembled like a small boat in choppy seas. Great waves rose within the once calm 9-flower lake. If the ice lotuses floating on the lake didn't have the protection of array formations, then they would have probably been ravaged into flying ash by the fierce detonation of energy. Yang Yun looked the same throughout, but Lin Ming actually knew just how valuable these ice lotuses were. They were all comparable to heavenly materials. Once the array formation was broken, the losses would be immense. With a tap of his toes, Lin Ming jumped off the jade platform and flew towards the snowy mountains. At this time, Sichu Chuan had long since been stirred up into a frenzied rage, his eyes bright red like a rabid madman. He could hardly care for these 9-flower lake ice lotuses that were simply used to make tea. He thought that Lin Ming had run away because he couldn't withstand his blood seal twisting murder. With a sneer, Sichu Chuan clearly shouted, "You gutless small fry. Where are you running to?" Prime Val Spear Strike. With a thrust of his spear, blood-drinking seals spun around, creating a twisting red storm. This sort of storm seemed to twist space, forming a powerful suction force like a black hole that swallowed all. Moves of the Great Desolate Halberd Art contained the concept of space. When Lin Ming first started to comprehend the offensive use of the concept of space, that had all begun from this Great Desolate Halberd Art, Sichu Chuan was overjoyed as he saw Lin Ming's speed suddenly reduce. All martial artists that were caught in his Prime Val Spear Strike were like flies in a spiderweb. It was impossible to escape. With a clear cry, Sichu Chuan's killing intent locked onto Lin Ming. The concept of space fused into his spear as he thrust it towards the point between Lin Ming's eyebrows. This spear seemed slow, but it passed through space in the blink of an eye, suddenly appearing like ghosts and gods in front of Lin Ming. Such an ephemeral and mystical style had allowed Sichu Chuan to slaughter countless masters. This was the move he was most proud of. However, as Lin Ming faced this spear that suddenly appeared in front of him, his expression didn't even change a tiny bit. "This is your concept of space. Your skill is far too lacking. Ho dash." Lin Ming also thrust out a spear. This spear strike seemed even slower than Sichu Chuan's. However, what was unbelievably strange was that for some unknown reason, Lin Ming's spear light reached Sichu Chuan's chest first. What? Sichu Chuan was incomparably shocked, losing all his composure. That spear light had suddenly bloomed in front of his eyes, nearly blinding him. Peng! Sichu Chan flew backwards, all of his protective true essence shattered. Blood swelled up within his body but was forcefully suppressed by him. As he looked down, he saw that a large hole had appeared in the Heaven-Step treasure armor he wore, copious amounts of blood flowing from it. Chapter 788, Slaughter Path Showdown. Chapter 788, Slaughter Path Showdown. It's only been 2 moves and yet Sichu Chuan was injured. The 7-star Divine Kingdom's High Prince successor said with an astonished expression. Although every prince's strength was kept a confidential secret, the 4 Divine Kingdoms' competition with each other was simply too fierce. Sichu Chuan was one of the several important princes of the Azura Divine Kingdom, so it was inevitable that he would be under tight observation from all available intelligence networks. Although it wasn't known what degree his exact strength reached, people were still able to roughly estimate. After all, Sichu Chuan was one of the princes who would compete for the highest throne of the Azura Divine Kingdom in the future. His natural talent was undeniable. At 30 years of age, he should now be able to rank on the destiny decree. Although it was unknown just who would be stronger between him and Lin Ming, the difference in their abilities shouldn't be so great. It wasn't just the 7-star High Prince successor who thought this, but even the great Smelting Kingdom Prince felt this was just too incredible. At this time, Yang Yun was calmly drinking some tea when he said, "It isn't that the disparity in their strength is great, but the disparity in their understanding of the concept of space is too great." Just now, that move was only a comparison of whose concept of space was more accomplished. Sichu Chuan thought that he would be able to win the advantage by fusing the concept of space into his attack, but he never thought that his opponent's attainments in the concept of space were even higher. He underestimated his opponent and suffered a blow because of it. His injury is due to the fact that he wasn't mentally prepared in advance. At this time, Sichu Chuan felt extremely shamed and bereaved. The concept of space was their Azura Divine Kingdom's most famous concept. It was recorded within the Great Desolate Halberd Art, and was something that only the Sichu royal family descendants were able to study. The concept of space was known as one of the most difficult and powerful concepts and also known as the King of Concepts. The entire Sichu family clan inevitably held pride in themselves because their entire family clan could utilize the concept of space. Especially Sichu Chuan. His talent was extraordinary and he had an extremely high comprehension of the concept of space. Even the Divine Emperor appreciated his abilities. But now, all of that arrogant pride had been ruthlessly destroyed by Lin Ming. This boy actually understands the concept of space and his method of attack seems similar to my own Azura Divine Kingdom's inheritance. Even the might of the attack is greater. He absolutely has a more complete version of the Great Desolate Halberd Art. Sichu Chan didn't think that Lin Ming's talent in the concept of space surpassed his own. He only thought that Lin Ming must have a complete inheritance of the Great Desolate Halberd Art. All of these things should belong in the grasp of their Azura Divine Kingdom. Only my Azura Divine Kingdom's Sichu family is deserving of this inheritance. There is no one else worthy. Sichu Chuan cried out within his heart. If he could train in this complete Great Desolate Halberd Art, then his strength would inevitably rise. Perhaps when facing Yang Yun, he might not even be overwhelmed by that man's blinding halo. Brother Sichu, consider this match finish. Yang Yun's voice suddenly sounded out. Although Sichu Chuan had been injured because of a brief lapse in his guard, an injury was an injury. This was only supposed to be a friendly spar, not a life or death struggle. Losing in even half a move was considered a loss. I refuse to accept this. Sichu Chuan shouted out loud, keeping his spear pointed at Lin Ming. Everything on the line was related to the honor of his Azura Divine Kingdom, so how could he just admit defeat like this? Otherwise, if news of today's happenings spread out, everyone would know that the rampant and lofty Sichu Chuan had lost to someone far younger than him in just 2 moves. Not just that, but that hairless little boy's cultivation was more than an entire realm lower than his. He would suffer nothing but ridicule. The stipulation of 10 moves hasn't ended yet. Just because I was surprised for a moment just now doesn't mean that I lost. Since Sichu Chuan insisted on finishing the 10 moves to the end, Yang Yun also didn't say any more. He only silently looked at Lin Ming. He hadn't thought that Lin Ming's comprehension of the concept of space would reach such a degree, as if he himself were an omnipotent being. This sort of talent was something he had never heard of before. It simply surpassed his own understanding. Sichu Chuan held his spear flat and his aura exploded from his body. He no longer planned to use the concept of space. Since his understanding of concepts was inferior, he would only be embarrassing himself if he continued to forcefully utilize it. Using it to attack the enemy would be the epitome of stupidity. But the Great Desolate Halberd Art still contained another great supporting pillar besides the concept of space. That was comprehension of the slaughter path. Sichu Chuan didn't believe that Lin Ming would also surpass him in the understanding of the slaughter path. Bang! Under the incitement of the blood-drinking seals, Sichu Chuan's killing intent erupted, overwhelming and covering the entire sky. Several hundred blood-drinking seals flew high in the air like stars in flight, covering the entire area as they glowed an increasingly blood-red. The skies above the entire nine-flower lake surged with energy. Black energy rolled everywhere, emitting a suffocating atmosphere. By abandoning the concept of space, he would decide this with only the great desolate halberd art's slaughter path. In the Jade Pavilion atop the nine-flower lake, several heroic young elites felt indescribably uncomfortable after being enveloped by this killing intent. Although those that Yang Yun had invited this time were all the chosen prides of heaven within the Sky Spill continent, that didn't mean that they were too strong. If they were too young and their cultivation was only at the revolving core realm, their strength would still be limited no matter how great their talent. It was impossible for them to withstand Sichu Chuan's killing intent. Such a solid killing intent and such keen blood-drinking seals. Sichu Chuan must have killed countless martial artists these past years. The great smelting prince sighed. One couldn't effectively accumulate killing intent by killing weaker martial artists. Only by killing martial artists at the same level, or even other similar prides of heaven, only then by watching a strong opponent fall before them would this image engrave itself into one's heart, becoming an unwavering belief of victory that was able to sweep away all. This sort of belief could be sent out like an energy field, and once combined with the will to kill an opponent, this would then turn into killing intent. The Sichu family clan is indeed a savage and brutal family clan. All of their princes, successors, and other family members will be thrown into dangerous situations at just 15 to 16 years of age. They are forced to tear down vicious beasts and giant demons, and every royal family member that fails this test has nothing but death awaiting them. Yes, within the Azura Divine Kingdom there is a medium-sized dimension that has the giant demon race living in it, reared up like pigs in a pen, only becoming the smelting trial field of their royal family. For Sichu Chuan to understand the slaughter path to such a degree, that means he must have cut down hundreds or thousands of giant demons at his level. All of the young heroic elites began discussing amongst themselves. The methods that the four divine kingdoms used to train the next generation were no great secret. However, the Azura Divine Kingdom's methods were the harshest, cruelest, and most lacking in mercy of all. For those royal family members that had no talent, their fate was even more miserable than that of the common people. I will take the advantage with this move. Sichu Chan fiercely looked at Lin Ming. Although he had been wounded just then because he had underestimated his opponent, no matter the reason, a loss was still a loss. He had thrown down his face in order to continue fighting, and if he wasn't able to suppress Lin Ming and was instead suppressed by Lin Ming, then he would be laughed at by others. This was not a loss he could afford. Loss meant complete loss of any face he had left. I will take back the Sichu family clan's glory, and all of the Demon Emperor's inheritances should also return to my Sichu family clan. Sichu Chuan's heart burned with a raging fire. His anger, his will, his body, everything was fused into this next attack. Great desolate halberd art, slaughter path. By overdrawing his strength and true essence, Sichu Chuan poured his complete being into this attack. A black spear light shot out, tearing through the void as it rolled up into the massive clouds of roiling black energy and fused with the hundreds of blood-drinking seals that Sichu Chuan had released. With a thrust of this spear, the mountains and rivers seemed to tremble, creating a dazzlingly blinding attack. You want a slaughter path showdown? Lin Ming's lips curved up in a smile. Although I have to admit I truly do not have much talent in the slaughter path, I still have been able to achieve a bit through hard work. Out of everything that Lin Ming had ever studied, his accomplishments in the concept of wind and the slaughter path had never been to his satisfaction. The former had caused Lin Ming's golden rock shattering the void to be hampered at times, and the latter made it so that he wasn't able to display the full strength of the blood-drinking seals in the great desolate halberd art. In particular, as Lin Ming's strength rapidly grew, the blood-drinking seals could no longer keep up with his current strength. However, Lin Ming's slaughter path wasn't just the blood-drinking seals. True essence gathered in his dantian. The Death God force field and the Azura force field simultaneously erupted. Bang! The force field energy rushed out like a tide of molten iron. As soon as Sichu Chuan's black energy collided with the Azura force field, it was actually ripped to shreds, half of it immediately dispersing to nothing. What? As Lin Ming's Death God force field completely opened to the limit, even Yang Yun was startled. Compared to the scattered killing intent that Sichu Chuan had released, Lin Ming's killing intent had condensed into a true force field. Moreover, it wasn't just one kind of force field but two kind. A force field formed from killing intent. This Lin Lanjian must have grown up by treading over the corpses of martial artists all at his level or higher. The White Clan princess sucked in a breath of cold air. A force field was an extremely rare ability, and Lin Ming even had two different kinds. As for those 20-some-year-old geniuses with a mere revolving core cultivation, all of them paled as they were swallowed up by this killing intent, nearly falling down where they stood. Bury the heavens! True essence howled. The concept of fire and the concept of space fused together. The 8 inner hidden gates opened to the limit, and the large success bronze battle spirit was poured into his spear. What Lin Ming used was impressively Bury the Heavens, a self-created move modeled with the strongest aspects of the great desolate halberd art as the foundation. A red spear tore through the void, all of the power of space swirling up into a space storm. The burning star flame was galvanized by the wild space claws, evolving into a demonic black flame. Kai kai kai. The demonic flame burned apart space, causing massive amounts of space fragments to scatter about. These space fragments served as a substitute for blood-drinking seals as they spun around at a maddening speed. Ah! As Sichu Chuan saw Lin Ming's fierce attack come at him, he barked out a wild shout. His face flushed an unusual blood red. What he used was an arcane skill. To a demonic path martial artist, this sort of arcane skill that burned one's bloodline to forcefully enhance one's strength was extremely common. Of course, after using it, one had to pay the price. If the side effects were light, then his meridians would be damaged. If the side effects were serious, then it would heavily damage his life source. At this time, Sichu Chuan no longer had any other path to take. He had to win in this move. Bang! 2 spears violently collided together. A wild true essence shockwave surged out, uncontrollably smashing into the 9 Flower Lakes Jade Pavilion until it seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Several revolving core young elites whitened, and those early revolving core martial artists were all forced out of their seats and several steps back, nearly vomiting blood. This continued until Yang Yun, the great smelting prince, and the White Clan princess all acted together, blocking the turbulent energy flows. Underneath everyone's eyes, a surprising scene occurred. The space fragments that swirled around Lin Ming's spear struck Sichu Chuan's blood-drinking seals, crushing them until they were less than half the original size. Then, after breaking through Sichu Chuan's spear light, Lin Ming's spear potential didn't yet disappear. It brought along with it a blazing fire and terrifying concept of space as it struck Sichu Chuan's bodily protective true essence. Sichu Chuan's bodily true essence immediately disintegrated and he flew backwards. The result of the battle had exceeded everyone's earlier expectations. Sichu Chuan had been completely suppressed and abused by Lin Ming. But how could this be? When Lin Ming first faced Corpsemancer, he had become victorious only after a hard-fought battle. But now, facing Sichu Chuan, he won with considerable ease. Did this mean that Sichu Chuan was far inferior to Corpsemancer? Chapter 789, 8,000-Mile Black Swamp. Chapter 789, 8,000-Mile Black Swamp. Sichu Chuan crashed into the 9 Flower Lake, causing ice-cold water to splash into the clear skies. A single spear strike had sent Sichu Chuan rocketing into the lake, but Lin Ming was still flying high in the air as if he hadn't used much energy at all. How terrifying! As everyone looked at Lin Ming fluttering high in the air, those several revolving core martial artists that had nearly coughed up blood turned even more pallid. A moment ago, they had felt an irresistibly powerful strength in the aftermath of that collision just now. In truth, they were all inferior to Sichu Chuan. Although Sichu Chuan was older than they were, his cultivation had still reached the peak of the second stage of life destruction. But that Lin Lanjian, his age was unknown. Perhaps he might not even be over 26 years of age. His cultivation was only at the late revolving core realm, and yet his strength was enough to completely suppress Sichu Chuan. This caused them all to feel greatly frustrated and helpless. This simply didn't seem like a talent that a human should possess. It wasn't just the revolving core martial artists that were startled, But the several other princes in the audience were also shocked. Lin Ming would inevitably become one of the highest peak powerhouses of the Skyspill continent. Such a person would be able to wield near unlimited influence throughout the entire continent in the future. And the most important factor was that he didn't belong to any of the 4 divine kingdoms or their subordinates. His future possibilities were endless. Bang! The surface of the water erupted as Sichu Chuan shot upwards. At this moment, his face was white and his hair was a ruined mess. His entire body was dripping with water and he was embarrassed beyond being embarrassed. Lin Ming indifferently looked at Sichu Chuan. Sichu Chuan's defensive ability to withstand attacks was too strong. Even though he had been heavily struck twice, his injuries actually weren't heavy at all. However, this was also within reason. The Great Desolate Halberd Art had become famous as an offensive battle technique of the Demon Emperor. But it originally wasn't used only as an offensive ability, but also a defensive one. The blood-drinking seals could be used to attack as well as defend. Sichu Chuan had fused blood-drinking seals into his protective true essence, causing his protective true essence to surpass common sense. That Sichu Chuan is definitely a true master. Although he might be a little weaker than Corpsemancer, it wasn't by too much. And if he had used that arcane ability to stimulate his bloodline just now, then he would even be able to surpass Corpsemancer. Too bad for him, the one he ran into today is me. Meeting Lin Ming was Sichu Chuan's own bad luck. As the saying went, know yourself, know the enemy, and be undefeatable. Lin Ming had already practiced Sichu Chuan's Great Desolate Halberd Art for many years now, and the version he studied was far more complete. For instance, all of those moves Sichu Chuan used just now, like Blood Seal Twisting Murder, Prime Val Spear Strike, the Slaughter Path, Lin Ming knew all of those techniques like the back of his hand. There might be no one more clear about the characteristics of blood-drinking seals than he was. Before they fought, all of Sichu Chuan's techniques had already been thoroughly understood by Lin Ming. How could he still fight? And what was lamentable was that Sichu Chuan's 2 great pillars, the concept of space and the slaughter path, were all completely defeated by Lin Ming, making it so that he couldn't display the true strength of the Great Desolate Halberd Art. Then, Sichu Chuan's only advantage over Lin Ming was that his cultivation was a realm and a half higher than his. But even so, with the support of his battle spirit, 8 inner hidden gates, comprehension of concepts, and many other factors, all of this made it so that Sichu Chuan was tyrannically oppressed from start to finish. Originally, Sichu Chuan's terrifying defensive power was the reason that he could rank on the destiny decree. However, defense couldn't be compared to offense. Offense could be used to suppress others, but being better in only defense meant that one would be smacked around a lot longer. And as the battle had continued, Sichu Chuan had seemed incomparably distressed, as it looked as if he were being slapped around without any strength or resistance. In his current state, Sichu Chuan's face violently distorted with anger. He couldn't accept this defeat. He would rather lose 100 years of his life than admit defeat to Lin Ming. "Brother Sichu, you've lost." Yang Yun rose up and said. Sichu Chuan's lips twitched, blue veins popping out on his forehead. Again and again he had lost miserably. Sichu Chuan could no longer say that he would finish the rest of the 10 moves with Lin Ming. And, even though he didn't wish to admit it, continuing this battle would be futile. He would simply be beaten down again. Don't fight, the 2 of us are not his opponent. Continuing to fight is just shaming yourself. A true essence sound transmission sounded out in Sichu Chuan's ears. This message had come from Sichu Feng. This boy obviously understands all of your abilities, he should also have inherited the Great Desolate Halberd Art. However, we know nothing about him. All we can see is that there is the shadow of the Great Desolate Halberd Art in his techniques. We must report this matter to His Highness the Divine Emperor and allow him to decide what shall be done. Sichu Chuan's grim face seemed indecisive. Then, he grit his teeth and slowly fell down from the air. 10 Jin of Million Year Wood Spirit Jade and 1 Jin of Wood Spirit Jade Quintessence. Lin Ming said. As Sichu Chuan and Sichu Feng heard these words, their lips spasmed. Even with their own great net worths, producing these sorts of treasures would still be extremely difficult. I haven't brought those things with me. I can compensate you with spirit essence stones and other things. Sichu Chuan said with a dark and gloomy expression. Lin Ming chuckled. Million-year wood spirit jade and wood spirit jade quintessence are priceless treasures that cannot be bought. Their value cannot be estimated with mere spirit essence stones. With so many heroic young elites here, there are countless treasures on them. With your status as an Azura Divine Kingdom Prince, borrowing them shouldn't be too difficult. You. Sichu Chuan's intestines painfully twisted together as he heard Lin Ming's words. Sichu Feng was afraid he would open his large mouth and say something irreproachably stupid, so he stepped forwards and said, "Since we were willing to make a bet, we are also prepared to lose. Your Highness the Crown Prince, please allow us to borrow your wood spirit jade." There was only one Divine Kingdom Crown Prince present, Yang Yun. The Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom had the richest wood spirit jade resources, so he was the only one here capable of easily bringing out 10 jin of wood spirit jade and a jin of wood spirit jade quintessence. Yang Yun smiled as he stood up and said, "Everyone here are grand characters of the Sky Spill continent. For us to all gather here at my Nine Flowers banquets is also a stroke of destiny. We must not harm our friendships. Since Brother Lin desires wood spirit jade, I indeed have some that I may lend to Brother Sichu." As Yang Yun spoke, he took out a jade box from his spatial ring. The crystal clear and dazzling jade box was only 3 inches long. After opening it, a brilliant flaming light suddenly bloomed outwards. Yang Yun took out a wood spirit jade the size of a quail egg from the jade box. Everyone was startled at the sight of this wood spirit jade. The color was an unexpected deep gold. That is wood spirit jade quintessence. Even though the martial artists present were extraordinarily wealthy individuals, this was also the first time they had seen the rare wood spirit jade quintessence. Yang Yun said, "Wood spirit jade quintessence is countless times more valuable than common wood spirit jade. Don't look at how small this wood spirit jade quintessence in my hands is. The truth is that there is already 1 jin and 3 tails here. As for the million-year wood spirit jade, I haven't brought that with me today. After some time I shall go to the kingdom's treasury and select some suitable material for Brother Lin." Lin Ming said, "Your Highness Crown Prince is too polite. The extra 3 tails of this wood spirit jade quintessence are far more than enough to make up for 10 jin of million-year wood spirit jade." Lin Ming had inherited the memories of that realm of the gods' alchemist, so he had an approximate understanding of the value of wood spirit jade. "Haha, all right then." Yang Yun didn't argue. A blue light surrounded the jade box and the box then slowly flew towards Lin Ming. Lin Ming received the jade box and placed it within his spatial ring. "Thank you, Your Highness the Crown Prince." Lin Ming's words were sincerely spoken from the heart. Ever since coming to the Nine Furnace Divine Palace, Lin Ming had a very favorable impression of Yang Yun. Haha, the Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom is truly extravagant. That wood spirit jade quintessence is mined from the 8,000-mile black swamp of the Sea of Miracles, the Great Smelting Prince said with a smile. "The Sea of Miracles 8,000-mile black swamp?" Lin Ming asked as he heard the Great Smelting Prince's words. In his mind, a strange association was forming. Millimeter? Brother Lin hasn't heard of the Black Swamp before? The Great Smelting Prince shot Lin Ming a strange look but continued to explain. The Sea of Miracles is known as being the Sea of No Return and the Ocean of Endless Storms. It is the most terrifying life-forbidden zone in the entire Sky Spill continent. As the Great Smelting Prince spoke to hear, the 7-star Divine Kingdom High Successor also smiled, shaking his head as he added, "Brother Uye, your description of the Sea of Miracles as a life-forbidden zone is far too pale. There are many areas in the Sky Spill continent known as life-forbidden zones, but the truth is that there are only 1 or 2 big cats within. Most of them can be handled by a mere revolving core powerhouse." As the 7-star High Successor spoke to hear, the other martial artists smiled. Indeed, to martial artists of different boundaries of strength, the definition of a life-forbidden zone was also different. "Old Third Li, you don't need to interrupt me," the Great Smelting Prince said with a teasing laugh. It was obvious from his casual tone that he had a good personal friendship with the 7-star High Successor. The Sea of Miracles is a true life-forbidden zone, and also the most dangerous land in the entire Sky Spill continent, bar none. After entering deep into the Sea of Miracles, it is said that the entire sea is a lifeless, pitch black, and the skies are forever covered in layers upon layers of lightning storms. It isn't an exaggeration to say that entering the Sea of Miracles is an absolute death sentence, without exception. Even divine Sea Supreme Elders are the same. Up until now, there has never been a record of anyone ever having managed to cross the Sea of Miracles. Even the 4 divine kingdoms' divine emperors all worship and revere the Sea of Miracles. And surrounding the entire Sea of Miracles is the 8,000-mile Black Swamp, which can also be considered as the shores of the Sea of Miracles. Because the land topography is similar to a beach and shallow tidelands, the entire surrounding of the Sea of Miracles appears to look like a black swamp. Even though this black swamp is lower risk than the Sea of Miracles, it still isn't a place that a divine sea powerhouse can freely enter and leave. There are even divine sea powerhouses that can perish within if their luck is poor enough. For instance, even if I were to enter into the 8,000-mile Black Swamp, it wouldn't matter how many magical treasures and defensive items I brought with me, I would never return. The great smelting Price had a self-deprecating smile as he spoke to her, but Lin Ming's heart was actually racing with emotions. This Sea of Miracles sounded exactly like the Eternal Demon Abyss. The Eternal Demon Abyss was also known as the Land of No Return. When the #1 top powerhouse of the Holy Demon Continent had reached a bitter bottleneck in his cultivation, he had entered the Eternal Demon Abyss to search for a lucky chance. But the result was that he had died there, never to return, and around the Eternal Demon Abyss was the 1,000-mile Forbidden Zone. Although the risks were far, far lower than in the true Eternal Demon Abyss, it still wasn't a place that an Emperor-level martial artist could freely enter. Whether it was the High Lords of the 12 Skysplit Towers or the Tower Masters themselves, none of them had even returned alive after entering the 1,000-mile Forbidden Zone. As for Lin Ming, he had only managed to escape the 1,000-mile Forbidden Zone by relying on the memories of the Demon Emperor as well as his own unique abilities. And listening to this great smelting prince's words, the 8,000-mile Black Swamp was extremely similar to the 1,000-mile Forbidden Zone of the Eternal Demon Abyss. The Skill-Spill Continent had the Sea of Miracles and the Holy Demon Continent had the Eternal Demon Abyss. Could this really have been a mere coincidence? As Lin Ming was thinking this, the great smelting prince's next words raised even greater waves in Lin Ming's mind. He said, "Every 10 years, there will be a black tsunami that comes from the Sea of Miracles. Normally, the tsunami will reach out to a distance of 8,000 to 9,000 miles, completely covering the 8,000-mile Black Swamp. This black tsunami is wholly terrifying. If one is caught within, then that is certain death. But although this black tsunami is terrifying, there are still great advantages to be had. That is that the wood spirit jade floating in the Sea of Miracles will rush out into the Black Swamp where it can be mined by others. Thus, even though the 4 divine kingdoms were founded over 10,000 years ago, the amount of wood spirit jade resources have never fallen off, always managing to continuously replenish themselves. Chapter 790, Heavencraft Xiaoxiao's Request. Chapter 790, Heavencraft Xiaoxiao's Request. Lin Ming took a deep breath, unable to calm his heart. The Sea of Miracles and the Eternal Demon Abyss were both absolute life forbidden zones, both of them able to bury even divine Sea Supreme Elders. Although the surrounding area was relatively safer, it still wasn't a place where anyone below the divine sea realm could hope to live through. In addition, the Sea of Miracles and the Eternal Demon Abyss both had eruptions. The Sea of Miracles had its black tsunamis and the Eternal Demon Abyss had its great black waves. After erupting, both of them would carry materials from their center. The Sea of Miracles would bring out wood spirit jade and the Eternal Demon Abyss would bring out demon god bones. Wood spirit jade was the condensed essence of ancient spiritual plants. Demon god bones were the condensed essence of powerful ancient martial artists and vicious beasts. How similar they were. The Sea of Miracles was simply the Sky-Spill Continent's Eternal Demon Abyss. It would be impossible to describe their similarities as being just coincidental. They must be linked somehow. Thinking of the apocalyptic catastrophe that happened in the Sky-Spill Continent 100,000 years ago, the immortal goddess deeply slumbering within the Eternal Demon Abyss, as well as the eternally beating 100,000-year heart of the ancient great emperor, Lin Ming had absolute belief that all of these was because of some incredible unknown secret. Brother Lin. The great smelting prince couldn't help but ask Lin Ming as he saw him deep in thought. It's nothing, I was just shocked by the mysteries of this sea of miracles. I wonder, is there anything else special about this sea of miracles? Yes, I hear that there exists a temple of marvels that floats above the skies in the sea of miracles. It is illusory and elusive like a dreaming mirage. It's only that this temple is deep within the sea of miracles and guarded by some wild and ancient sea beasts. These sea beasts can emit a pressure that can stop even the heart of a divine sea supreme elder. These are existences that are beyond our imagination. The great smelting prince sighed as he spoke to hear. Although he was considered fairly strong within the 4 divine kingdoms now, he was simply not worth mentioning when compared to those ancient and mystical existences in the Sea of Miracles. Let alone him, even his father, the divine emperor, wouldn't be able to return if he went to the Sea of Miracles. The great vastness of this world surpassed all of their imaginations. The Sea of Miracles has this sea beast and the eternal demon abyss has the ancient great beast. This is truly surprisingly consistent. Lin Ming was already fully convinced that there was some sort of inevitable relation between the Sea of Miracles and the eternal demon abyss. They might be 2 entrances into a world. But what was strange was that in the vast and endless universe, why would such miraculous mysteries appear on the incomparably ordinary world of the Skyspill continent? That ancient vicious beast that seemed like a god beast was not a being that even general realm of the gods' powerhouse characters like the demon emperor could compare with. Has anyone entered the Temple of Marvels before? Lin Ming asked. Hilarious. The Big Dipper High Successor smiled as he shook his head. That temple is a legend to begin with. Moreover, it exists deep in the Sea of Miracles. No one who has ever stepped foot into the Sea of Miracles has returned, so how could anyone have entered it? As the Temple of Miracles was brought up, the 9-flower banquet became even more lively. Many martial artists began speaking of certain fables of the Sea of Miracles, making Lin Ming feel even more complicated and confused. After the banquet reached its end, Lin Ming was invited by Yang Yun to the Crown Prince Palace. At this time, Yang Yun was wearing a 5-clawed golden dragon robe, and floating in front of him was a jade array disc. On top of the array disc was a projected map of the entire Skyspill continent. The 4 divine kingdoms, the Sea of Miracles, and even ancient family clans and hidden worlds were all shown on the map, looking incomparably broad and wondrous. Yang Yun looked at this map and suddenly said, Brother Lin, I heard that you are collecting top-grade wood spirit jade? Yes. Yang Yun didn't ask why Lin Ming was gathering wood spirit jade. He looked thoughtful for a moment and then said, why don't you consider joining a side force? You can borrow their power to rapidly collect wood spirit jade and they would even be able to protect you, so why not do it? For instance, about today's matter. Azura Divine Kingdoms Sichu Chuan and Sichu Feng bullied you because you didn't have any great power supporting you from behind. That is the only reason that they dared to attack you. Moreover, perhaps Brother Lin has already been included on the Azura Divine Kingdoms hit list. If you somehow end up falling into the hands of the Azura Divine Kingdom's top powerhouses in the future, then the consequences would be disastrous. Yang Yun's intentions were obvious. He wished to win Lin Ming over to the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom. Lin Ming had already guessed Yang Yun's goal before the 9-flower banquet started. If he joined the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom, then collecting wood spirit jade would naturally not be a problem anymore. As long as he was able to prove of sufficient value, then the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom wouldn't begrudge him any amount of wood spirit jade. And with the shelter of the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom, he also wouldn't need to fear the Azura Divine Kingdom anymore. However, there were simply too many secrets on Lin Ming's body. If he joined the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom, then he would be surrounded by divine sea powerhouses everywhere. It would be far too easy for those supreme elders to monitor him without him knowing at all. Not to mention everything else, but if just his cosmic melting furnace that he used for alchemy was revealed to those old monsters, then his fate could be imagined. Lin Ming wasn't used to letting others control his fate, nor would he join a Holy Land-level influence. I thank Your Highness the Crown Prince for your reminder. But, I am used to freely wandering about and don't wish to temporarily join any side influence.
Oh,
Well, that is indeed regrettable. Yang Yun shook his head as if he were feeling rather sorry for everything. If Brother Lin has a change of mind, then my 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom's doors are open for you at any time. Thank you, Crown Prince Your Highness, for your kindness. In the future, if possible, I will certainly thank you for your hospitality. Lin Ming cupped his fists together. He had already succeeded in obtaining the Wood Spirit Jade Quintessence. Now, in addition to the 5 color fruit, Void Temper Root, Skyflower Stones, and Dragon's Pine Grass, he already had 80 to 90% confidence that he could successfully refine the 5-Fade Void Pill. It was nearly time to leave the trouble-laden 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom. Lin Ming had already made his plans. First he would refine the 5-Fade Void Pill and then open the 3rd of the 8 inner hidden gates. Then, he would look for some remote hidden area to safely make a breakthrough to life destruction. When he had enough strength, he would make sure Divine Phoenix Island was safe and sound, and then he would begin the final preparations to ascend into the realm of the gods. After Lin Ming bid his farewells to Yang Yun, he first returned to his own room. As he passed through the door, he saw that Xiao Xiao was sitting on the bed, a bit stunned, as if she had lost her soul. There were still tears hanging from the corners of her eyes. It was obvious she had just been crying. Miss Heavencraft? Lin Ming asked with some surprise. He didn't know what matter Xiao Xiao had experienced, but this was his room. Her room should be next door, and since it was already nighttime, what was she doing in his room? Sir Lin. As Xiao Xiao saw Lin Ming, she nipped her lips and began to speak before she hesitated. She looked extremely pitiful. What's the matter? It's fine to say it. Xiao Xiao took several deep breaths to calm herself down. But, tears still glistened in her eyes. She said, I saw the 9 Furnace Guard's fleeting dragon. He showed me some things. Xiao Xiao's lips quivered as she spoke, as if whatever it was had been terrifying. What is it? It's evidence about my father, my grandfather, and even more ancient family heads from more distant times. That is the dark history of my Heavencraft family clan. Xiao Xiao seemed to use up every last ounce of her strength to speak. She grabbed the table to support herself, revealing a smooth jade white arm even as her full and milky breasts fiercely heaved up and down. This evidence is real. It should be. Xiao Xiao had helped and managed the trading company for so many years that she could certainly distinguish if it were true or real. It was only because the evidence was real that she was at a complete loss of what to do. She didn't know what the 9 Furnace Guard wished to do, but such detailed evidence absolutely couldn't be collected in a short 1 or 2 days. That meant that the 9 Furnace Guard had already been investigating her Heavencraft family clan for a long time. Could it be that Yang Yun wanted to control her Heavencraft family clan? With an absolute disparity in masters and strength, as well as enough reasons to act, Xiao Xiao had no doubt that as long as Yang Yun wished to, he could easily annex their Heavencraft trading company. To Xiao Xiao, it was like she had been struck by a bolt of lightning out of nowhere. You say that Yang Yun wants to swallow up your Heavencraft trading company, but do you think that the Heavencraft trading company is worth him doing so? Lin Ming asked in reply. I have no idea. The 9 Furnace Guard only showed me the evidence. They didn't actually say what they planned to do with it. Xiao Xiao shook her head. Although she was still extremely afraid, she had a faint guess about some possibilities. It wasn't worth it for Yang Yun to spend so much time and effort on just the small Heavencraft trading company. But, if the 9 Furnace Guard investigated not just the Heavencraft trading company but other organizations too, then there was likely to be great turbulence in the 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom's future. For such a small fish as her trading company, it was likely they would be washed away in the chaos. You told me this because you want me to help you? Lin Ming directly asked. Xiao Xiao wouldn't tell him all this just because she wanted to talk. Xiao Xiao's eyes flashed with shimmering tears. She bit her lips until they turned white and said, I would like to request Mr. Lin stay in the Heavencraft Trading Company for some time again. I beg you. Xiao Xiao bowed as she spoke. Lin Ming froze for a moment, startled, before understanding Xiao Xiao's intentions. Lin Ming had helped Xiao Xiao obtain the position of family head and Xiao Xiao had repaid him with the dragon's pine grass. Their former agreement should now have come to an end. Lin Ming could leave the Heavencraft family clan at any time. Xiao Xiao wished for Lin Ming to stay in order to be the warding charm of their Heavencraft family clan. Behind the 9-furnace guard lay Yang Yun. And Xiao Xiao had seen with her own eyes just how much Yang Yun valued and favored Lin Ming. If Lin Ming stayed in the Heavencraft family clan, then it was likely that Yang Yun would give Lin Ming face and leave the Heavencraft family clan a path out of this chaos. After all, the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom had 6 great commercial organizations, and the Heavencraft Trading Company was ranked near the end of these 6. All the trading companies were far from being able to compare to the 2 great banks and the 100 treasure auction house. After Lin Ming understood all of this, he shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, but I can't promise you that." Staying at the Heavencraft Trading Company was impossible. Lin Ming had already been locked on to by the Azura Divine Kingdom. If he continued to stay at the Heavencraft Trading Company, that would only be possible if he joined the 9-furnace Divine Kingdom and found shelter under them. Otherwise, he would just be seeking his own death. Hearing Lin Ming's instant rejection, Xiao Xiao paled. She already knew it was a tough, nearly impossible request, but she never thought that Lin Ming would refuse her so simply and decisively without any wriggle room at all. She fell to her knees like a broken puppet. After several breaths of time, she bit her lips and seemed to fill with determination, as if she had come to a momentous decision. She reached out her slender and trembling fingers to grip the collar of her clothes. "Sir Lin, I beg you to save me, save the Heavencraft Trading Company. If you can help me, I am willing to do anything for you." I. Tears fell down Xiao Xiao's face, her body quaking as she began to unravel the buckles of her clothes, revealing a pure, powder-white neck. Chapter 791. Refining the 5-Fade Void Pill. Chapter 791. Refining the 5-Fade Void Pill. Xiao Xiao's collar was originally very high. As she peeled it off, the deep purple cloth cast a faint silhouette on her pure white skin. Under the swaying and dim candlelight, her luscious body flowed like smooth-wood spirit jade. It seemed exceptionally soft and beautiful. After untying the first buckle, Xiao Xiao seemed to have found her courage. She then continued with the second and the third buckle as she bit her tender lips and said, "Sir Lin, I know that you have the eye and appreciation of the Crown Prince. I'm merely the head of a small trading company. I haven't even held a succession ceremony yet. There's nothing I can bring out that would be able to move you again save for my pure virgin body. Still, even though I know that I am not enough, I have nothing else to offer you." Xiao Xiao closed her eyes, her long eyelashes trembling in the light. 2 drops of crystal-clear tears silently fell from the corners of her eyes. Lin Ming never thought that such a sudden change would occur. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. These were the cruel and callous rules of the world. In the face of absolute power there was no mercy or sympathy. In order to survive, one had to pay a high enough price. Even the exquisite and beautiful Heavencraft Xiao Xiao, a beautiful woman that could cause the downfall of nations and had near endless resources, even she could do nothing but bow her head before a stronger power. Otherwise, she could only wait for her own destruction. This was the sorrow of the weak. This was their never-ending plight. Lin Ming shook his head and said, "Miss Heavencraft, you don't have to do this and cause yourself to suffer. I'm completely willing. Compared to the foundation of my family clan, what worth is my body? Much less, Sir Lin is also a chosen talent gifted by the heavens. As for me, I'm but a nobody. My only fear is that Sir Lin despises my average appearance." As she spoke, she quietly pulled down her veil, revealing an appearance as soft and as glorious as the bright moon. Her purple overcoat also fell, sliding down her fragrant shoulders and ravishing breasts. She felt a cold wind brush by her body, whereafter her originally pale face blushed a bright red. In fact, she wouldn't have pushed Lin Ming away if he ever desired her. If it weren't for him, she would have already been abducted by Corpsemancer, living a life where she couldn't even die if she wished to. "Miss Heavencraft, I won't stay at the Heavencraft Trading Company. You don't need to ask me anymore." A simple and succinct refusal. Xiao Xiao froze where she was. Lin Ming stood up and let out a long sigh. If he stayed at the Heavencraft Trading Company, he was doomed to seek asylum underneath the nine-furnace divine kingdom. Otherwise, he would never cross over the perils of the Azura divine kingdom. Moreover, if Yang Yun really cleaned up and annexed the trading companies and the other great financial organizations of the nine-furnace divine kingdom, only leaving behind the Heavencraft Trading Company, then this was the same as Lin Ming owing Yang Yun a great favor. 1 and then 2, Lin Ming would slowly become entangled in the affairs of the nine-furnace divine kingdom. At that time, it would be equal to having joined them. There might be over a dozen emperor-level powerhouses in the nine-furnace divine kingdom, and Lin Ming had on him the cosmic melting furnace and the burning star flame. These were treasures that divine sea alchemists would go mad with jealousy over. The only choice would be for him to not use these treasures ever, otherwise, once he was discovered by those old fellows with incomparably sensitive perceptions, his fate might even be worse than falling into the hands of the Azura divine kingdom. As he looked at the pitiful and beautiful Xiao Xiao, he had a suspicion floating in his mind. When Yang Yun invited me, he also invited Xiao Xiao. Had he already planned for all of this to happen? Although these sorts of methods left Lin Ming very unhappy, the truth was that the nine-furnace guard had only shown the evidence to Xiao Xiao. No one had forced her to look to Lin Ming for help, as if nothing that had happened so far involved Yang Yun. Even Lin Ming couldn't be sure whether or not he was involved. Besides, no one forced him to promise Xiao Xiao anything. The choice between a beauty and to leave was his to make. Why? Xiao Xiao fell to the ground in exhaustion, her voice shaking. By joining the nine-furnace divine kingdom, Lin Ming would have resources, the trust and appreciation of the crown prince, the asylum of the divine kingdom, and so much more. This was a massive opportunity that others couldn't even dream of. Lin Ming didn't intend to reveal his thoughts that he felt somehow Yang Yun had plotted this. Regardless of this, because of the many secrets on his body, he didn't intend to involve himself in the upcoming whirlpool. As he saw Xiao Xiao's miserable appearance, he eventually couldn't bear it any longer. He sighed and said, "Miss Heavencraft, while I can't agree to your request, I can leave a letter here for you. As for His Highness the Crown Prince, I can't say whether or not he'll value my words." Lin Ming was self-aware of his own status and strength. Although he could be said to have endless potential, his strength was still far from reaching the peak of the Skyspill continent. If he could rank at the top of the destiny decree, then he could perhaps request a favor. But, for now, it wouldn't be easy to do so. As for leaving a so-called letter behind, its main content would be to thank Yang Yun for his gracious hospitality while also vaguely mentioning Xiao Xiao. If Yang Yun agreed, this would be considered as Lin Ming owing Yang Yun a favor. Thank you so much Sir Lin," Xiao Xiao bowed again. She was already more than satisfied with this result. She waited for Lin Ming, her fingers pressed against the purple belly band around her waist, still not moving to put her clothes back on. Lin Ming looked at the nervous Xiao Xiao who was overwhelmed with anxiety. Then, he smirked and said, "Miss Heavencraft, please, put some clothes on. While you are indeed beautiful, I already have a wife, and two at that." Lin Ming couldn't help but acknowledge that he was attracted to Xiao Xiao's body. Even though his will was firm, he inevitably felt the fires of lust stir up within him. But not only did he have Mu Qianyu, but more importantly he also had Qin Xingxuan who he hadn't even had a marriage ceremony with or brought to the nuptial chamber. If he were to have sexual relations with another girl before completing his marriage with Qin Xingxuan, then this would be no different from betraying her. Xiao Xiao blushed red and hurriedly dressed herself. She felt something in her heart but she couldn't quite place her finger on what it was. Although she had made her decision during a time when she was nervous and not totally willing, she had still firmed her determination. For everything to suddenly end like this, she couldn't help but feel an inexplicable sense of failure. After waiting for Xiao Xiao to dress, Lin Ming picked up a pen and some paper, and began writing a letter to Yang Yun. This could also be considered his parting farewell. 3 days later at nighttime, within the nine-furnace divine kingdom, at a mountain range that lay close to the Sea of Miracles, a green-masked youth landed on the ground like a ghost. This youth that wore a wood spirit jade mask was Lin Ming. A wood spirit jade mask could block even the perception of a divine sea supreme elder. It could be called the power most formidable and yet most simple method to hide one's identity. The reason he dared to walk within the 9-furnace divine kingdom was all dependent on this wood spirit jade mask. Moreover, these were the lands of the 9-furnace divine kingdom. Even if the Azura divine kingdom intended to hunt him down, they wouldn't blatantly and flagrantly do so here. Still, he remained as careful and safe as he could. After leaving the Crown Prince Palace, he walked through several different transmission arrays and also changed routes several times before arriving at this nearly inaccessible and remote mountain range. The heaven and earth origin energy here was barren to the point of nearly not existing. Without any resources here, martial artists wouldn't search this place either. Bang! With a thrust of his spear, its sharp sword pierced through the mountainside like a knife cutting through tofu, immediately opening up a 200-foot deep cave. Lin Ming smoothed out the cave, reorganizing the layout a bit, and then lay down several cloaking array formations and alarm array formations around the entrance. Only then did he fully enter. These array formations all had wood spirit jade powder added to them. They were excellent at isolating energy. He cut several more chambers in this cave and arranged the 8-dragon jade dawn array in the largest chamber. With Demonshine's help and in addition to his memories of the array formation, although he couldn't reproduce the complete power of the 8-dragon jade dawn array in the Demon God Imperial Palace, he could still simulate 30 to 40% of it. Then, Lin Ming waved his hand and a reddish-golden small bronze furnace flew out of him, spinning in the air. It soared into the air, spinning and growing until it became several dozen feet high with a golden light shining out from within. Brilliant flames burned all over the surface. This was the cosmic melting furnace. For the sake of security, this hiding place he chose had extremely poor heaven and earth origin energy. He had no choice but to fill all corners of the room with great numbers of spirit essence stones and fire attribute top-quality true essence stones. For a time, the entire chamber was thick with fire attribute origin energy. The 8-dragon jade dawn array released red clouds and the cosmic melting furnace glowed an even brighter crimson color. Alchemy was an extremely tedious and complicated process. On top of that, he had only studied alchemy for less than a year. Even though he had inherited the complete experiences and knowledge of the realm of the gods alchemist and had even used over half of all the precious medicinal materials he had obtained from the Yin-Yang Profound Palace and the South Sea Demon Region's medicine gardens, he still wasn't skilled enough to have absolute confidence he could successfully refine or even control a top-grade pill such as the 5-Fade Void pill. He estimated that he would need to practice alchemy for another 1 or 2 years if he wanted to increase his chances of successfully refining the 5-Fade Void pill to 70 to 80%. However, he couldn't afford to wait for such a long time. His only chance was to use the wood spirit jade quintessence and forcibly increase his chance of success. Although this method was extremely wasteful, time was the most precious commodity to him. He didn't immediately start refining the 5-Fade Void pill. First, he refined some ordinary pills. This was to familiarize himself with the techniques again and also to preheat the cosmic melting furnace. This would provide the best conditions for refining. This cosmic melting furnace was also one of the main reasons Lin Ming dared to refine the 5-Fade Void pill. As a quasi-saint artifact, the cosmic melting furnace could increase the chances of successfully refining the pill by 20 to 30%. After concocting 3 pills in the furnace, Lin Ming took out all the materials required to refine the 5-Fade Void pill from his spatial ring. He then activated the 8-dragon jade dawn array, and with a flick of his hand, a wisp of the burning star flame flew into the cosmic melting furnace. The burning star flame was a reward he acquired from time-worn Phoenix City. It was considered a good flame essence even within the realm of the gods, and its effects for alchemy were naturally astounding. It wasn't something that the alchemists of the Sky Spill continent and their Earthstep flame essences could compare with. Of course, while a higher-grade flame essence was more useful and effective for alchemy, the premise of all this was that one could control it. Otherwise, if the energy fluctuations of the flame essence were too strong, then it would be easy to burn the alchemy materials down to ash. But this was not a problem to Lin Ming. With the heretical god seed as well as his extremely high comprehension of the concept of fire, he could control the burning star flame with absolute precision. It was with all these various reasons combined that Lin Ming dared to refine the 5-Fade Void pill. With another slap of his hand, The skyflower stones were the first material to fly into the cosmic melting furnace. Lin Ming then added the concept of burning heat and a touch of the concept of annihilation to the burning star flame. At that point, with the assistance of the 8-dragon jade dawn array, it only took several more breaths of time before the hard and inflammable skyflower stones began to burn and melt. This was a speed that a general alchemist couldn't hope to keep up with. Next was the dragon's pine grass. Dragon's pine grass was different from the fire-resistant skyflower stones. If the heat was even a trace too much, then it would be burnt down to nothing. Lin Ming controlled the flame essence and urged it to weaken. The golden totem engraved on the heretical godseed began to blaze with a brilliant light. Underneath the steady flame, the dragon's pine grass turned into green droplets. Underneath Lin Ming's control, the two different liquids merged together, becoming a crystal clear whole. Chapter 792, The Gate of Wonder. Chapter 792, The Gate of Wonder. The direction reagent had already been prepared. Lin Ming then took out the wood spirit jade quintessence. This quail egg-sized jade quintessence was actually several times heavier than gold. At such a small size it was already 1 jin and 3 taels. Lin Ming flicked his fingers and the wood spirit jade quintessence flew into the cosmic melting furnace. Wood spirit jade was extremely resistant to high temperatures. The older wood spirit jade was, the more difficult it was to refine. And wood spirit jade quintessence could even cause a divine sea powerhouse to exhaust themselves. Lin Ming opened the heretical god force as well as the 8 inner hidden gates. Bang! Within the cosmic melting furnace, the burning star flame suddenly erupted. With a heaven-step flame essence as the source, the wood spirit jade quintessence began to slowly heat up. Concept of burning heat, law of annihilation, true essence rapidly revolved within Lin Ming. The totem mark on the heretical godseed began to shine with the radiant light of the laws. The 8-dragon jade dawn array fiercely shook. Fire attribute origin energy twisted into a vortex within the chamber, and the top-quality fire attribute true essence stones began to rapidly lose their shine before they cracked underneath the intense flow of energy and turned into ash. In such a terrifying convection of heat, the wood spirit jade quintessence began to soften after a quarter hour. Quietly, it began to melt. A drop of shimmering golden liquid wood spirit jade dropped into the directing reagents. Lin Ming's entire forehead was beaded with sweat as his mental concentration reached the peak. Another jin of 500,000-year wood spirit jade was tossed into the cosmic melting furnace. This time, the wood spirit jade quickly melted, forming a thick viscous green wood spirit jade liquid that wrapped all the medicinal materials within. Liquid wood spirit jade made for an ideal medium buffer for alchemy. The inherent rich and pure wood attribute origin energy within could nourish the medicinal materials, and it could also prevent the flames from overheating and burning the medicine. Thus, this would be able to greatly enhance the chances of success in concocting a pill. The directing reagents had already taken form. And with the wood spirit jade liquid as a buffer, Lin Ming then tossed the void temper root and the 5-color fruit into the cosmic melting furnace, prepared to let them melt within the temperature-consistent wood spirit jade liquid. Kai! With a light sound, the void temper root and the 5-color fruit fiercely shook. Lin Ming's heart tightly gripped. Even though his soul force had vacillated just the tiniest bit, just that had caused the 5-color fruit and the void temper root to nearly be destroyed. Luckily, the excess energy was absorbed by the wood spirit jade quintessence fluid, otherwise Lin Ming would have failed here. Using 1 jin and 3 taels of wood spirit jade quintessence to refine a 5-fade void pill was an extravagant waste, but it was truly worth it at this moment. 3/4 of an hour passed. Lin Ming's clothes were completely soaked in sweat. When an alchemist was concocting pills, they required an extremely high degree of spiritual concentration, constantly sensing and controlling the raw materials in the furnace. In this situation, there would be an exorbitant consumption of soul force. If one didn't have a powerful soul force, then they could forget about ever becoming an alchemist. Lin Ming's soul force and willpower far exceeded all other martial artists at his level. But even so, refining such a high-level pill was still difficult. 2 hours. 4 hours. 6 hours. Blue veins on Lin Ming's forehead bulged upwards like worms. It quickly flew up as if it wanted to break out of the stone walls and escape. Lin Ming had already expected this and had arranged an array formation around the cosmic array formation. A high-level pill had its own spiritual sense. After the furnace was opened, it would attempt to flee. If he really allowed this pill that he had used all of his effort to refine to suddenly escape, then that would be the greatest joke of all. Bang! The 5-fade void pill smashed into the array formation's walls, causing it to shake. However, it didn't manage to break through the array. After the first attempt failed, the 5-fade void pill shined even brighter as if it were readying itself to make a second impact. But how could Lin Ming allow it to do as it wished? He quickly stepped on golden rock, shattering the void, and grabbed the 5-fade void pill in his hand. Then, he formed several dozen seals with his other hand and sealed the pill into the wood spirit jade box. After finishing this, Lin Ming fell straight down from the air as if he had lost all of his strength. With shivering fingers, Lin Ming took out a soul recovery pill from his spatial ring. He only felt as if his eyelids had been replaced by lead and his surroundings seemed to go blurry. Then, he fell asleep as everything turned to darkness. After an unknown period of time, Lin Ming's fingers began to move slightly. He opened both of his eyes and saw only the pitch black of the cave. There were some leftover wood attribute true essence stones scattered on the floor, emitting a glowing green light. In the dark, it seemed exceptionally beautiful. How long have I been asleep? 7 days. Demonshine's voice sounded out in Lin Ming's mind. 7 days. Lin Ming sat up, his head throbbing. As he examined his spiritual sea, he saw that his soul force really had grown a bit. And the azure spear-shaped battle spirit that floated in the skies above his spiritual sea seemed to glow even brighter, as if it had become more formidable. When Lin Ming had first become an inscription master and completed his first medicinal inscription symbol, he had rested for several days after. The reason had also been that he had overdrawn his soul force. Once the inscription had been completed, his mind had relaxed and he directly fell into a deep slumber. Now, even though his soul force had risen, he had encountered the same situation because the rank of pills he concocted was even higher. Lin Ming couldn't help but sigh with emotion. He had obtained the magic cube when he was just 15 years old. Now nearly 7 years had passed. In these 7 years, his strength had gone through heaven-shaking upheavals. As he recalled the trials and tribulations he encountered on his road of martial artists, he couldn't help but reminisce. Lin Ming stashed away the cosmic melting furnace and sat on the roughly carved stone bed. Then, he entered the ethereal martial intent state and began to meditate. As he cycled the true essence in his body, he found that the revolving core crystal nucleus in his dantian had grown even more. He was getting that much closer to the peak of the late revolving core. After breaking through to the late revolving core, Lin Ming's cultivation hadn't rapidly risen at all. In half a year he still hadn't managed to break through to the peak of the late revolving core. This was because after having had his cultivation shoot up with astronomical speed, he now required time to solidify his foundation, accumulating strength so he could prepare to pass through life destruction. Although the life destruction realm was within the revolving core realm, it was still considered an entire large boundary over. Breaking through this bottleneck wouldn't be easy at all. He used 2 hours to restore his mental state and physical condition to their peak. Then, Lin Ming pulled out the recently refined 5-fade void pill. Lin Ming, do you plan on opening the 3rd of the 8 inner hidden gates now? Yes. I must increase my strength as soon as possible. The earlier I absorb this pill, the more beneficial it will be to my cultivation and ability to resist my enemies. He opened the wood spirit jade box and unraveled the seals. The thumb-sized 5-colored pill tumbled into his hands. This pill looked small, but it was actually extremely heavy. It weighed nearly 2 jin. This was because it had partially formed from the melted essence of the wood spirit jade quintessence. Lin Ming opened his mouth and swallowed the pill. He immediately felt a burst of coolness from his throat and reaching down to his stomach, gradually becoming a faint burning sensation. Compared to the blue nameless divine pill that he had taken in the past, the 5-fade void pill's side effects were much more mild and temperate. But, The time it would take to process it was also much longer. Lin Ming put away the jade box and closed his eyes, entering into the ethereal martial intent as he began to revolve the true primal chaos formula. For the past 7 years, because of his diligent training, Lin Ming's understanding of the true primal chaos formula had steadily increased. Now he had full confidence that he could record at least half of the true primal chaos formula's heart mantra into a jade slip so that others could train with it. Within the realm of the gods, there weren't many types of body transformation law formulas. This was because there were far fewer people that trained in the body transformation system as opposed to the essence gathering system. The true primal chaos formula was a superior top-level body transformation law formula, and one of its greatest advantages was that it wasn't difficult to practice at all. At this time, Lin Ming could already clearly see faint traces of multi-hued energy flowing and mixing into his meridians and penetrating into his limbs and bones, fusing into his body. This was his final preparation for breaking through to the third of the 8 inner hidden gates. The third gate was called the Gate of Wonder. After one reached the second stage of body transformation, every time one of the 8 inner hidden gates was opened, one would obtain a greater strength. At the same time, every gate corresponded to obtaining a special ability. For instance, the first gate, the Gate of Healing, was located at the point between the clavicles. After opening this gate, besides a martial artist's overall strength rising, it would also greatly enhance their endurance and recovery ability. For the second gate, the Gate of Limit, that was located at the spine, the area called the Dragon Bone. Opening this gate would increase one's balance and explosive force. As for the third gate, the Gate of Wonder, that was located at the 2 knees. Opening this gate would increase a martial artist's strength, and the special ability it granted was to greatly increase a martial artist's speed. Chapter 793, Sky High Reward. Chapter 793, Sky High Reward. 3 days later, a loud explosion rang out as the stone bed Lin Ming sat on completely collapsed underneath him. All of the top-grade true essence stones in the chamber disintegrated, turning into fine powder. Lin Ming stood up from the heap of rubble and casually dusted his hands and feet. His limbs emitted a crackling ka noise and sounded as if tofu was currently being fried. He had finally opened the Gate of Wonder. The Gate of Wonder had the effect of an overall increase in speed and instant acceleration. This differed from the Gate of Healing, which managed endurance and restorative ability, and the Gate of Limit, which handled balance, coordinated strength, and explosive force. This newly opened gate would be able to increase one's combat effectiveness far more directly than the first 2 gates. Speed was one of the most important factors of a martial artist's comprehensive combat strength. It was far more straightforward than endurance, recovery ability, or explosive force. Speed was undoubtedly important in evading and chasing. It would also greatly increase a martial artist's attack strength. As the old saying went, speed was insurmountable. A martial artist's own speed could superimpose on the speed of their own attacks. If their attacks were fast enough, then even a tiny stone rock could easily pierce through the body. If Lin Ming poured his battle spirit into his attacks as the foundation, then the resulting power would be even more terrifying. Lin Ming left the cave, sealing the entrance on his way out. He then jumped into the sky. Bang! The rocks underneath his feet shattered into bits and pieces as he ascended up into the air like a rocket. In an instant, he became an azure beam of light that shot across the endless sky, traversing several miles in the blink of an eye. Strong heavenly winds bombarded him, sending his hair erratically dancing in the wind. As he felt himself reaching such extreme speeds, Lin Ming was elated beyond measure, the extreme velocity of the Gate of Wonder completely surpassing his imagination. If he was already this fast by only relying on his true essence and the Gate of Wonder, then how fast would he be if he also used his movement technique? As the thought crossed his mind, Lin Ming stepped upon golden rock shattering the void. His steps became blurry as the space shrank beneath his feet. In a single step, he crossed 5 or 6 miles, as the grand mountains that rose thousands of feet into the air were easily crossed over by Lin Ming. When the Gate of Wonder was combined with golden rock shattering the void, Lin Ming's speed limit was several times faster than it was before. This speed was so fast even difficult for him to control. If I attack in this state? Lin Ming's mind stirred. The red spear appeared in his hands as both the concepts of thunder and fire wove together while he poured his large success bronze battle spirit into his attack. Penetrating rainbow. Whoosh. A brilliant spear light flashed across the skies like a ray of sunlight. Lin Ming had completely fused himself into this light, becoming one with his spear. He then disappeared like a meteor crossing the horizon. When he reappeared, Lin Ming had already traveled a dozen miles in the void. He came across a massive canyon and thrust his spear into the 10,000-foot-high cliffs. Bang! Lin Ming pierced the cliffside like tofu, penetrating all the way until he poked out from the other side. Lin Ming's spear move was founded on the limits of his speed, along with the dual concepts of thunder and fire, and the keenness of his battle spirit. With such a combination, even the cliffside that had been strengthened by a baptism of being near the Sea of Miracles had been pierced through by Lin Ming's spear. Rustle. After Lin Ming soared out from the hole several feet wide that he had left in the middle of the mountain cliff, a great puff of stone powder plumed from within. Underneath the concept of fire's law of annihilation, the crushed stones turned into dust, blowing and dancing into the wind. For a while, the entire cliff canyon was covered in a faint hazy dust cloud. My strength has increased yet again after opening the third of the 8 inner hidden gates. If I were to encounter Corpsemancer now, I should be able to defeat him far more easily than in the past. As Lin Ming thought this, he flew away from the barren and desolate land that he was currently at and towards the city. He needed to enter the city to purchase a few heavenly materials in order to continuous practicing and perfecting his alchemy technique. Lin Ming also had to begin making the final preparations to impact the life-destruction realm. However, as he thought of purchasing heavenly materials, Lin Ming suddenly thought of a very depressing and dispiriting matter. That was, he didn't have any spirit essence stones. Lin Ming had many treasures on him, such as the cosmic melting furnace, his demon emperor armor, the heaven-step demon godbone, and the concept jade slip that Fairy Feng had left to him. However, it was impossible for him to exchange any of those things for spirit essence stones. None of his other remaining possessions were too valuable either. When Lin Ming killed Shen Wuji and the Polar Skysplit Tower Master, he had managed to accumulate a good deal of wealth. Relative to his current level, however, all of that wealth was close to nothing at all. Besides, he had already spent most of it anyways. Now, besides a few heaven-strep treasures left on him, all of his other belongings combined wouldn't even surpass 5,000 spirit essence stones. That was roughly equal to the net worth of an ordinary second-stage life-destruction powerhouse from the 4 divine kingdoms. All of the spirit essence stones that he once had were completely used up while practicing alchemy without a single return. Lin Ming considered relying on his alchemy technique to make money, but then decided that it would simply waste too much time. The only reason that he had managed to concoct the 5-fade void pill in less than half a year was because he had practiced without caution or care of burning through any of his materials. Only by freely spending all sorts of precious and materials in his practice had he been able to forcefully raise his skill at alchemy. This sort of practice method would only burn money. It was impossible for him to ever make money. Skyflower Province, Blue Cloud City. Skyflower Province was the smallest of the 9 Furnace Divine Kingdom's 9 provinces. However, its prosperity and success was second to only the Central Province. All of the major forces had gathered here within the Skyflower Province's capital, Blue Cloud City, which was also the headquarters of the 100 Treasures Auction House. In every square, there were countless treasure pavilions and medicinal pill shops. This city could even be called as being paved with gold. The majority of the young martial artists strolling down the streets were all outstanding individuals. There were many of them that had reached the Xiantian realm at 20-some years of age and the revolving core realm by 30-some years of age. If this were the South Horizon region, these individuals could all be called the direct disciples of a large sect. At the very center of Blue Cloud City was a crowded and bustling restaurant with people flowing in and out. Because this restaurant was close to a large auction house, most of the customers here were martial artists. Lin Ming wore his wood spirit jade mask and casually sat in a corner of the restaurant as he ordered a few small dishes of various vicious beast meats and spirit vegetables. He lifted the corner of his wood spirit mask and ate at a moderate pace. At this time, a conversation that several martial artists were having suddenly caught his attention. "Have you heard of that uproarious news that came out about Lin Lanjian a few days ago?" A 30 to 40-year-old man with a cherry-red face said as he took big gulps of wine. Who doesn't know him? With his late revolving core cultivation, he was able to kill Corpsemancer and rank on the destiny decree. He was named an eternally rare talent. A big fellow's words immediately attracted a laugh from all the martial artists around him. He looked back at the drinking man and said, "Are you a foreigner here?" "Hehe, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the most recent news to come out." The drinking man cleared his throat, gathering everyone's attention to him. Then, with an air of self-importance he said, "Lin Lanjian's cultivation method was confirmed to have been stolen from the Azura Divine Kingdom. Additionally, the armor he wore is a sacred treasure of the Azura Divine Kingdom. They had thought that it was lost a long time ago, but it had actually fallen into Lin Lanjian's hands." "What? Lin Lanjian stole his cultivation method from the Azura Divine Kingdom? Are you sure of this?" The surrounding martial artists were shocked. This was a major event. Whether it was a sect or a divine kingdom, their most important treasures were their inheritances. Once these inheritances were leaked to the outside world, then this would cause their very foundation to shake. This was a matter that any holy land or divine kingdom would absolutely never tolerate. Thus, to any person that stole their cultivation, there was only a single judgment for them. That was death. This is absolutely true. It's said that Lin Lanjian or his master killed some important person from the Azura Divine Kingdom and stole away their spatial ring. This spatial ring contained the great desolate halberd art jade slip. So it's like that. All the surrounding martial artists seemed to believe this, even if just a little. Since the Azura Divine Kingdom said that Lin Lanjian's cultivation method was stolen from them, then there must be some similarities between Lin Lanjian's cultivation method and their own. It was impossible for them to make up stories about this sort of matter. Otherwise, if Lin Lanjian's cultivation method was completely different from the Azura Divine Kingdom's great desolate halberd art, then these rumors would collapse in on themselves after being proven false. The great desolate halberd art was a secret inheritance of the Azura Divine Kingdom. No matter how powerful Lin Lanjian or his master was, it would be impossible for them to break into the vaults of the Azura Divine Kingdom and steal away their inheritance. Thus, the only other explanation was that they killed a direct descendant of the Azura Divine Kingdom and then obtained a jade slip of the great desolate halberd art. Although many martial artists also wanted to do this, this was simply a disgraceful and shameful matter once exposed. Now, all of the present martial artists felt that there was something questionable about Lin Lanjian's morals. It was likely that he was a corrupt and underhanded individual. In fact, the majority of martial artists believed this. At least, most of those in this restaurant believed this. "What's the deal with that armor that Lin Lanjian wears?" Another martial artist continued to ask. "That is the Demon Emperor armor. The Azura Divine Kingdom already has the Demon Emperor armor's Heartguard mirror, which happens to completely match with Lin Lanjian's armor. The armor has already been lost for countless years by now, and to think that it actually appeared with Lin Lanjian, there's definitely some problem with this Lin Lanjian." All of the martial artists' discussion fell into Lin Ming's ears. He calmly listened the entire time as he slowly ate his food. The Azura Divine Kingdom's actions were far more shameless than he had imagined they would be. They had released such rumors in order to galvanize more people into looking for him. Another reason for such rumors was to make up some self-righteous reason to take away his belongings. The general public was much more likely to believe a divine kingdom with a long and glorious inheritance than they were to believe a lone and unknown martial artist like Lin Ming. After all, the idea that the great desolate halberd art and the Demon Emperor armor belonged to the Azura Divine Kingdom had already deeply rooted itself into the hearts of the people. "It looks like the Azura Divine Kingdom has already set their eyes on me. They should have posted some bounty on my head." Lin Ming sarcastically smiled as he downed a glass of wine. The words of the surrounding martial artists indeed confirmed Lin Ming's suspicious. The Azura Divine Kingdom would never tolerate for something like this to continue. That Lin Lanjian is really in for it this time. Of course. The warrant for his arrest had already been sent out. It should be posted any time now. It is said that the Azura Divine Kingdom will reward 100,000 Spirit Essence Stones for anyone that can give them clues to Lin Lanjian's whereabouts. If one can capture Lin Lanjian alive, then they will give them a sky-high reward of 300,000 Spirit Essence Stones, top-quality pills, and even a peak medium-grade Heaven Step treasure. The big fellow's words sent the hearts of all the martial artists present rapidly fluttering. While it was naturally impossible for them to even think about capturing Lin Lanjian alive, there was a small possibility of providing a clue. 100,000 Spirit Essence Stones. This was an unimaginable amount. It had to be known that a slightly less influential prince, whose cultivation had yet to reach life destruction, would only have a total wealth of 40,000 to 50,000 Spirit Essence Stones. If they could obtain this amount of wealth, then they could buy up any amount of pills to boost their cultivation. If they lucked out and managed to break through to the second or third stage of life destruction, then they could even enjoy at least 2,000 years of life. Chapter 794, Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division. Chapter 794, Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division. The temptation of the posted reward was simply too great. Many people wished that they could dig 30 feet underneath themselves to look for Lin Ming, and some dreamed of the luxurious life they could live after obtaining so many Spirit Essence Stones. At this point, a burst of laughter was emitted in the restaurant hall. The crowd turned to see that in a corner of the hall there was a martial artist wearing a black bamboo hat who was pouring himself a drink. There was a 4-foot-long sword placed on his table. The martial artist didn't look too old, but the fierce spirit he emitted was menacing. He looked at the big fellow who was spreading the news and said, "Friend, did you say that there was a 300,000 Spirit Essence Stone reward for capturing Lin Lanjian alive, as well as a top-grade pill and a peak medium-grade Heaven Step treasure? Then, let me ask you, just what sort of top-quality pill and what sort of peak medium-grade Heaven Step treasure are they?" The black bamboo hat martial artist's words left everyone astonished. According to his meaning, it was as if he really planned on capturing Lin Lanjian alive. All of the other martial artists here hoped at most to be able to find some clues on Lin Lanjian that would lead to his capture. No one dared to possibly think of capturing him alive. After all, Lin Lanjian was a destiny decree master. He could use just his finger to stab them to death. It is the God-transforming pill. The big fellow seemed to know a lot of inside information. Lin Ming even suspected that he was one of the Azura Divine Kingdom's intelligence agents that was specifically responsible for disseminating this news. God-transforming pill? As the pill was named, most of the martial artists present had a confused expression, obviously never having heard of it before. However, some of the more knowledgeable martial artists' eyes widened, an expression of terrible shock flitting through their faces. A God-transforming pill can help a high-stage life-destruction powerhouse attack the Divine Sea. Of course, one can also use it during the lower stages of life destruction to solidify their true essence and strengthen themselves to create a better foundation for breaking through to the Divine Sea in the future. But that second method is definitely more wasteful. This is a pill that a top 50 ranked master of the Destiny Decree would go mad with jealousy over. Because swallowing one will greatly increase one's chances of reaching the Divine Sea, it is thus named the God-transforming pill. The big fellow explained with boisterous and flourishing gestures. This explanation caused all the present martial artists to suck in a deep breath of cold air. This item might not be any less valuable than 300,000 Spirit Essence Stones. In fact, its worth was probably even higher. Lin Ming drank some wine and pulled his jade spirit mask back down to block his wide taunting sneer. The Azura Divine Kingdom truly had laid down the requisite capital. Even he wanted to report himself. However, this was also reasonable. Whether it was the deep-level inheritance of the Great Desolate Halberd art or the Demon Emperor armor, both of them were legacy treasures that could drive the royal family insane. God-transforming pill, if I can obtain that, it can help rapidly increase my strength after I reach life destruction. So it was the God-transforming pill. Good, good, good. The bamboo hat martial artist bellowed out 3 goods in a row, as if the God-transforming pill had been specifically prepared for him. This caused all the other martial artists to feel extremely unhappy. This sort of pill was something that they could never ever dream of reaching, and yet this fellow seemed as if it were easily obtainable for him. What are you so happy about? It's as if you think the pill is already yours. You are just far too arrogant. Even if you found Lin Lanjian, do you even think you could capture him alive? A martial artist bluntly said. After all, Destiny Decree martial artists weren't some random cabbage off the streets. There were only 360 of them within the entire Sky Spill continent. In addition, because of others that weren't listed for various reasons, there were about 500 individuals of that approximate level in total. All of these people were scattered over the incomparably broad continent. However, most of them were concentrated in the 4 divine kingdoms, their various homelands, and headquarters of super sects. He didn't believe that he would randomly bump into a Destiny Decree master in this restaurant. That would make a Destiny Decree master far too cheap. Lin Lanjian managed to rank on the Destiny Decree at an extraordinarily young age. After several more months pass, his cultivation might grow again. Defeating a master is difficult, killing a master is even harder, and as for capturing one alive, that is another level of trouble altogether. If you want to capture Lin Lanjian alive, then you need to be ranked at least 270 to 280 on the Destiny Decree. That is equal to being a 6th stage life destruction master. Do you think you have that strength? As someone spoke up first, several other martial artists also chorused in agreement. Many of them weren't feeling so swell about this bamboo hat martial artist to begin with. Did he really think he was so awesome? As the bamboo hat martial artist faced all of the surrounding martial artist's suspicions and doubts, he only sneered in response, not bothering to respond to them and instead only lazily scratching his chin. At this time, the big fellow's eyes turned and he asked, "May I ask what your honored name is?" "Misty Stream Sect, Yang Junxian." The bamboo hat martial artist turned his head so that people could finally see his face. He was a very handsome individual, his looks marred only by a scar that flowed down the corner of an eye. To a high-level martial artist, repairing a scar was nothing at all. If a martial artist still had a scar on their face, then it was likely intentionally left behind. This scar likely reminded this man of a shameful defeat he had suffered in the past. This proved that the number of times he had been defeated before was also very small. Perhaps it might have only been 1 or 2 times, otherwise his face and body would have already been covered with scars. This sort of person was undoubtedly an astounding young elite. I see, so it is the Misty Stream Sect's Yang Junxian. It's an honor, an honor. The big fellow cupped his fists together and quickly bowed. Yang Junxian was over 30 years old and his strength was far from being able to rank on the Destiny Decree. However, he represented the Misty Stream Sect, and the Misty Stream Sect had 2 Destiny Decree masters guarding the sect that ranked 300 and above. For a sect to have 1 or 2 Destiny Decree masters, that was already the highest sect underneath the rank of Holy Land. Of course, this sort of person may be ranked on the Destiny Decree, but their rank wouldn't be too high. All of the high-ranking Destiny Decree masters belonged to various Holy Lands or the 4 Divine Kingdoms. Although the 2 Destiny Decree masters of the Misty Stream Sect weren't ranked too high, they were actually proficient in trap arrays. Once one was caught within, they wouldn't be able to make their way out for several months. If they combined forces, then there was a very high chance of capturing Lin Lanjian alive. As the big fellow thought of this, he said, "Brother Yang, at the border frontier of the 9-Furnace Divine Kingdom where the Jagged Slope Mountain is, there is a branch division of my Azura Divine Kingdom. If Brother Yang and your masters are interested, then you may come to visit. My Azura Divine Kingdom also has 3 Sir Demon envoys personally commanding the area, and we can put out enough sincerity so that you can help us search for that dastardly Lin Lanjian and recover the inheritance of the Azura Divine Kingdom." As the big fellow spoke to hear, his identity had already become apparent. He was obviously an intelligence agent sent out by the Azura Divine Kingdom to search for Lin Ming. After all, this was still the 9-Furnace Divine Kingdom's domain. He would have to be a bit discreet in his actions here. Also, it was impossible for the Azura Divine Kingdom to send their own martial artists to carry out such a search in the lands of another Divine Kingdom. They could only draw support from the local strength in the Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom. Oh! 3 Sir Demon Envoys. Although Yang Junxian was arrogant, he was still startled upon hearing the title of Demon Envoy. For someone to be given the title of Demon Envoy basically meant that they were a top 100 ranked master of the Destiny Decree. The further one went up the Destiny Decree, the greater the disparity in strength was between the martial artists there. In particular, there were several great milestones at rank 300, 200, 100, 50, 30, and 10, all of those were massive jumps in strength. A top 100 ranked master was on a completely different level from a top 300 ranked master. If there are any clues found about Lin Lanjian and the Sir Demon Envoys personally take action, then that is already the same as capturing him. The big fellow said with a hint of pride. Indeed. Yang Junxian nodded in acknowledgement, they could even instantly kill him too. Very well, Brother Yang, the Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division's location is at the east end of the Jagged Slope Mountains, 30 miles southwest from Sloping Lake. I hope that Brother Yang and your masters will be able to visit sometime. The big fellow didn't conceal the existence of the Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division as there was no need to. The existence of this branch division was not a secret. Jagged Slope Mountain was not part of the Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom's territory in any case, and the Jagged Slope Mountain Branch Division also had 3 demon envoys personally on garrison duty. Absolute safety was ensured. Great. Yang Junxian readily agreed. In a corner of the hall, Lin Ming quietly left a high-grade true essence stone on the table before slipping out of the restaurant. No one imagined that the young man who just left was the bounty target of 300,000 spirit essence stones, a peak medium-grade heavenstep treasure, and a god-transforming pill. Jagged Slope Mountain, Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division, 3 demon envoys. How interesting. That big fellow said that the Azura Divine Kingdom had put out enough sincerity. I wonder just what that is? The so-called sincerity was most likely the posted reward. To directly put the reward out would have the greatest visual impact. If one just solely made a promised reward, then one couldn't help but worry that the other party wouldn't honor their bounty reward at the time. This Jagged Slope Mountain Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division, I too want to go and join in on the fun. As Lin Ming thought of this, his feet moved and he quickly flew away from Blue Cloud City. Jagged Slope Mountain was located at the border frontier of the Nine Furnace Divine Kingdom. It stretched for 4,000 to 5,000 feet and the highest point shot up 40,000 to 50,000 feet into the sky, directly stabbing into the skies. Here, because there were plenty of rich spirit veins, there were several small martial arts family clans that occupied their own little territories. Of course, the spirit veins they occupied were of a far lower rank than the one lorded over by the Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division. Lin Ming fell down in a beam of light. He stood on a 30,000 feet snowy mountain peak and surveyed the Azura Divine Kingdom branch that lay a few hundred miles away. A superior 5th grade spirit vein, how luxurious. For a mere branch division to occupy a superior 5th grade spirit vein, the legacy of the Divine Kingdom was something that a sect like the South Sea Demon region could never compete with. It had been said that the Silent Demon Emperor City had also possessed a top-ranked spirit vein. However, when the Silent Demon Emperor City was destroyed, several Divine Sea Supreme Elders had used their mighty supernatural powers to shift it away. The central lands of the Sky Spill continent were rich with resources to begin with. And when combined with plundering the surrounding lands for tens of thousands of years, the outer areas of the Sky Spill continent seem like completely different lands. Perhaps the reason the central lands of the Sky Spill continent are so rich in resources is because of the Sea of Miracles? Lin Ming suddenly thought of this. This was a true possibility. Otherwise, why would all 4 divine kingdoms revolve around the Sea of Miracles? I wonder just what sort of secrets the Sea of Miracles and the eternal demon abyss hold within them. As Lin Ming stood on the snowy peak, he saw several black spots rapidly approaching from a distance. These black spots quickly became larger, revealing themselves to be spirit boats that were hundreds of feet long. These spirit boats were being pulled by several flying vicious beasts, all of them headed towards the Azura Divine Kingdom Branch Division. And behind these spirit boats, there were also several multicolored ray of lights cutting through the horizon. These were revolving core and life destruction masters that were flying forwards. It looks like the Azura Divine Kingdom branch division invited many people over. Lin Ming leapt down from the snowy mountain peak and stepped on golden rock shattering the void, leisurely strolling in the air towards the Azura Divine Kingdom. I wonder just what sort of sincerity the Azura Divine Kingdom has put forth. My finances have been pretty tight recently. If I could seize this opportunity to grab everything here, then that would be perfect. As Lin Ming thought of this, he sped up. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,